Good morning. Welcome into Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here on the Pillar Exterior stage. DB, what's going on, buddy?
Man, what's going on?
I almost brought a priest in this morning.
You're a true.
To deal with that whatever dark magic you've been channeling into.
You're a stone cold true.
To DB was 3-0 again yesterday. That just so you know what I'm talking about. He nailed Penn State on the money line, which was not even close. They beat the hell out of Purdue.
No sweat.
He had TCU minus one.
That was a little sweaty.
That was a little close, minus 1.5. They won by 4. And then he had Packers plus 3.5. Just right. Yeah. How happy were you? Like, where were your experience there? Because you're like, okay, I really don't want this to go to overtime because that's the only way you can lose at that point.
Yeah.
And so Dan Campbell's going for it on 4th and inches like a madman.
What a wackadoodle.
And that was almost a disaster because Jared Goff
had his composure.
I know.
Like Goff is like cooler than a fan.
Didn't skip a beat. And at the same time didn't even mess up the timing of the play.
No.
That's the incredible thing.
Hey, and Montgomery is a deceptively good runner.
Yes, he is. Like I've been super impressed with Montgomery.
It's like, how was he available for
nothing?
Easy as he was?
Nothing at all.
Yeah, he's thriving, and he's fresh because he has the guy that I told you coming out of the draft that I could see why they took him in the first round.
Yep, Gibbs.
Yeah, he's really good.
That's I'm betting on 2 things. So I know it's not bet on it yet, and I'm not on a heater like you, but there's 2 things I'm betting on here. Number 1, it's that at some point people are going to stop paying bad quarterbacks.
Just try to get by.
Yes, just like and do the Sam Darnold, the Baker Mayfield, whatever that is.
Yeah, because you know what, you might be in that.
Like
you guys may draft a quarterback.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. I don't know. It depends on how they feel about Brock Purdy's health.
Yeah,
because if it's not a health issue, I think they're good. But there's been a couple arm injuries now that I think they're worried. The other thing is that people are going to start to value quarterbacks at least early in their career again. Whether it's
you mean running backs?
Yeah, running backs. Whether it's
you're probably right.
Whether it's Jonty out of Boise State.
Hey, you see that dude warming up the other day in the cold?
Yes.
He was in like bike tights.
Whether it's Caleb Johnson at Iowa, they're going to start valuing those guys again because you're sort of getting a shift back towards, like, remember what was like 10 years ago? All the offensive gurus, all the spread passing, college-style offensive gurus started flooding into the NFL.
Yes.
That's become pretty out of fashion at this point. Now, I know there's rumors that Cliff Kingsbury is going to get another interview for a head coaching job, which is wild to me.
Why? You don't like Cliff?
I think he's a nice offensive coordinator. I think that's where he belongs.
Yeah.
We had a pretty good sample size with him as a head coach.
So in this game, I felt good. I actually started to let myself, because I told you I wouldn't be surprised if they just won it outright.
Mm-hmm.
Probably at 21-17.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You felt pretty good about it at that point?
I got a couple of buddies.
I texted you at 24, like as soon as they scored to take the lead, I go, what is happening?
Yeah.
This is nonsense.
I got a buddy who, it's my dude. And I was on my way to Nebraska City yesterday, and he's like, hey, I missed the picks this morning, but I'm off today. I got a chance to run on over.
Yeah.
And he's like, what are they again, if you don't mind sharing? Now, this is like my guy.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I was like, no problem. It was this, it was this, it was this. About 9:45 last night, this dude screenshots me.
Yeah.
A couple of tickets.
Yeah.
I'm like, OMG.
Yeah, he cashed in.
Go Green Bay.
He cashed in.
It's incredible. I mean, the Stones.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
He threw a wild card in there too, though.
Yeah, I don't know what he was doing with Detroit Mercy.
I don't know what anybody's doing with Detroit Mercy.
The other 3, I was like,
I think some of your picks are pretty sicko.
Not really.
not. I mean, they're a little deep cut
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah.
But not Detroit Mercy deep cut.
By the way, I would lock Jacksonville State in at -4 right now. Jacksonville State.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's we'll give that one. I didn't give that one earlier. I don't have that one in the rundown.
Jacksonville State. But yeah, so I don't know how he did it to get to that number because it wasn't very much.
No, it was the Detroit Mercy number. I think really bumped him. Plus, he was on the difference between a 3-leg and a 4-leg is astronomical.
Yeah, that I'm like
because the odds of hitting are so much worse.
Yeah, he's like, hey man, I gotta grab you dinner, a drink, whatever, with the fire emoji. I'm like, for that amount of money. I don't know, man.
I think he might owe you vacation.
I had to take it. I blew it up.
Yeah. I think that's like an all-inclusive. Just
I'm like, shoot, you want to hang out?
Give him a couple more of those. He might owe you a down payment on a house.
And
or something.
That's a guy that you're around all the time, and you'd never know.
Yeah.
We have never talked about that.
Really?
Ever.
Yeah. You've known him forever.
33 years.
Yeah.
Never. Not one time has it ever come up. We talk about everything but his kids.
Yeah.
I'm like, really? And super quiet, unassuming.
Yeah.
My dude is just raking.
Just rolling in it.
My other buddy in Kansas City, he's like, yeah, I got super greedy and dabbled on the money line too. But all in all,
yeah,
he has a formula that he did. I can't remember what he said. It was kind of funny because I laugh at. I just like seeing people flourish, right?
Yeah.
Until I'm bad. And he goes, what did he say? He goes, if every listener just did an initial $25 bet and rolled each one ever since you started the strict economic boom in Omaha, would have been incredible. Yeah, he's a good dude.
Right, yeah.
I do. I think you said your buddy was charting. I think you're 15 for your last 16.
So he goes, he said it was first team, it was a live bet. What a sicko. I'm telling you, if you saw this guy,
yeah,
you'd have no idea.
Really?
He barely talks.
Yeah.
I mean, in general.
Yeah.
You'd be in the same room, same thing, and no big deal.
I feel like you got a few of those in your life.
Yeah, those people are good to be around.
That's how Tony V is.
Yep.
Doesn't say a lot.
Yeah. One of my coaches is we haven't really all seen each other in a couple weeks. And so he's like, hey, a lot of championship games tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
You guys want to come over and play some cards?
Yeah.
I was like,
I'll take it.
Sure. A house game? Sitting around? And you only live 5 minutes from me?
I was like, although you don't love watching games with people.
No, but he said 7:30. So
okay, so it's late. So
yeah.
There's only one left at that point.
Plus,
you catch up on that one later.
Yeah. Yeah, it ain't bad.
Unbelievable.
It's I was shocked. So when he sent the message, I was like, this isn't his style.
Yeah.
Apparently, I don't know everything.
I was like, you can know somebody for a long time and not know everything.
How about my man Goff's composure, though, fumbling and stumbling?
To get that handoff off to Montgomery?
Can you imagine? Detroit fans would have been like, is it that important to not leave any time on the clock?
Apparently it was.
Because you know what I was thinking? I was like, you're not gaining anything. It's still a chip shot. But then I was like, oh, he wants every bit of those 28 seconds.
That's what I immediately was just like, oh, he's not trying to give the ball back.
Every bit of those 28
I didn't think it had anything to do with the distance of the field goal. I didn't have any assumptions that they were going to try and score 6. I thought it was 100%. Oh, he's just not giving the ball back.
Did you? And then in the clip, because it happens all the time. Sometimes it's to the bad. Sometimes it's to the good.
Mm-hmm.
He speaks it into existence who they are.
Yeah.
It's just what we do, fellas. Like, they don't bat an eye at it.
And they've got a ton of injuries on defense.
Man, they got the Patricks of the world catching ball. It's like
they don't have any linebackers left.
No, I know. Although I do feel bad for Green Bay too. That back end is decimated.
Yeah, they're in bad shape.
They got to get Jair back, and they got to get some of their fellas back. But that's a team. You were out on Love as a championship caliber quarterback, right?
Yep. It's not that I think he's bad.
They can get there. They're good enough. See, that's the type of team, like, you'll go back and you'll watch film and you'll be like, okay, what did they do? The Lions will say, well, what do they do to give us fits?
Yeah.
That's how you know that's a good enough team to
Yeah.
win.
So
Because I think there's only 4 of those teams in the NFC.
I'm trying to remember. I don't think I was all the way out on him as a championship winner. I was out on paying him when they did.
Yeah.
Because I was like, hey, you've seen.
I think that's going to work out.
It probably will, but they didn't have to do it.
Yeah.
And you're putting yourself in a weird spot. Like, risk manager here, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there. I go, what's the risk of an 8-game sample size paying him that number versus, hey, you don't have to pay him yet?
Oh, my gosh.
You know what I mean?
Bro.
What happened? What do we got here?
That's why.
Oh, man. Dude, I told you, I love live bets. I love live bets. I love live betting.
See you. Have a good day.
That's why, too. If I feel some type of way about a game, this is what
a sicko.
This is why I love to live bet.
Bro, did you see the score?
Yep.
They won by 1.
Yep.
Oh, my gosh.
If I feel some type of way about
That's
a game,
good on you. That is incredible.
but I don't like the value I'm getting, sometimes I'll wait and just see how the game starts.
You and Brian Edwards.
Sometimes you can get a little value there.
I don't
You know me, I like value.
I don't really love
I
it.
don't even know what to say over that.
I'd say
I wondered how the multiplier got to be what it was.
that makes more sense.
That is incredible.
I would say, like our friend John Malkovich in Rounders, pay that man his money.
Splash the pot. Splash the pot. So we were talking about that the other day. He totally made that movie because that's one of those movies I didn't watch.
Yeah.
Shane, so it was probably what 13 or 14? 2013, 20.
What, Rounders?
Yeah.
Oh, when you watched it?
Yeah.
I was like, it
Yeah.
did not come out in 13.
No, it was
when
like
you watched it.
I had been with him full time a couple years.
Yeah.
And everybody kept quoting these lines. And Vrzal was like the ringleader because he can impersonate.
Can he do the voice?
Yes. I'm like, what are you? And he just laughed to himself. And
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you guys talking about?
Yeah.
Everybody would talk about it. And I was like, I still think it was a little overrated, but there are some parts. Right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's not one of those where I would be like,
It's a cable movie. So it's one of those movies that didn't do super well in the box office, but then it just got a ton of run on cable.
like Serendipity.
I got nothing there.
Yeah,
It's like
that's where I fell in love with.
it's like Shawshank. Shawshank was that way. Didn't do
Kate
super well.
Beckinsale.
That makes sense.
Yeah, a lot of stuff done since then. I'm out.
Yeah. At the time though.
Yeah.
It was like Shawshank. Like it didn't do super
And
well.
Cusack sucks, kind of.
I'm not a big Cusack guy.
I'm not either.
He sort of makes me uncomfortable to watch.
I mean, he's fine.
He's just a little like there's an awkwardness to him that makes me uneasy.
Was his best movie Con Air?
Because
Because there's probably 12 people that have seen Serendipity.
being John Malkovich,
I've never seen it.
that's a pretty big one that he was in.
Who's John Malkovich?
John Malkovich.
Like the guy?
Yeah.
The one we were just talking about?
Yes. So
I see.
he's in a movie. It's very meta. He's in a movie.
Very what?
Meta, like kind of existential.
God dang it. English, please.
Both of those were English.
Wow.
I guess you were asleep in English class too, not just biology.
I still can't believe you said that. Who says that to a friend, though?
You called me yesterday and you're like, you're kind of mean to me.
Like, who says that, though?
I don't know.
Shane, basically, he thought I said something so stupid that I should know and was taught in biology. He looked dead at me and he goes,
Well,
I think you might have been asleep during biology class. Just couldn't answer the question. You know what I mean? Like, who needs to be around people like that?
Oh, my goodness.
I'll work on it.
No, you won't.
Probably not. No, probably not. But yeah.
So real time as we're watching the replay of the golf deal,
Mhm.
I had a split screen. You
Okay.
could do the multi-view, and that one wasn't getting volume.
Yeah.
The other side was. Did they walk through why golf wasn't called down? Because Twitter was erupting. I'm like, guys,
No,
it's the right call.
I mean,
did they explain it real time on the broadcast?
So Herb Street briefly just mentioned in college he would have been down, but this is the NFL. that's live.
Yeah.
And they showed the replay that he was clearly
saw it.
stepped
I could
on
see
by
it.
his own guy.
Yeah.
Because that's what I was curious about. When I saw him fall, I go, oh, if he was stepped on by a Green Bay guy,
So they let you know that he didn't give himself up.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't even think that was
Because there's a lot of posts on social media.
He clearly didn't give himself up. What were people talking about?
I mean, I think they didn't know the difference between you just stepping back and taking a knee versus being on a knee.
Oh, yeah. People are dumb.
I mean,
that's pretty dumb.
Oh, okay.
Like, come on. Like, come on.
Man, you're quick to call people dumb. Maybe I feel some type of way about that because you called me dumb.
I didn't call you dumb. I said you might have missed some things.
By the way, I don't sleep in public, so I was not asleep in class.
Well, see, there you go. So you maybe were just distracted by surroundings. I don't know. Maybe
that's a possibility.
Maybe you were, looking at. I know Huddle didn't exist. Maybe you were looking at the playbook.
John Cusack was good in 2012.
The year?
The movie?
Never seen it.
Yeah, I haven't either. I think Shane might have been the only person that saw that movie.
2012.
Yeah, probably not.
What was 2012 about?
It was about how the Mayans.
If you say 2012, I'm going to kill you.
You know how the Mayans predicted.
John Malkovich.
No, John Cusack. You know how the Mayans predicted the world was going to end in 2012.
Yeah.
That's what the movie was about.
Is that what the Mayans predicted?
Allegedly.
I believe this is right. In world history, when I was young, we were studying the three civilizations, and I think I picked. I may be misremembering. I know what my intent was. My intent was to pick the most violent.
Okay.
So I think I know the most about the Incas.
Down in Peru.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know, so I was kind of warped as a child, even back then.
Sure.
But I just liked efficiency.
And that's where the obsession with serial killers came about.
Been a big efficiency guy for a long time. Big efficiency.
Not a volume shooter, just
no.
like efficiency.
No, why do you like sharks? No, they eat what they kill. Why do you like killer whales? Pretty efficient.
Big serial killer guy.
Yeah, that's why I like constrictors.
Just squeeze the life out of them.
Yeah, minimal effort. You know what I mean?
I don't know what you mean. What?
Do you guys want to go out of box here and get to Michigan Lance? He's on the line.
Yeah, let's talk to Lance.
Oh, we got a caller? Cool.
Yeah, I don't, because I can't see a thing because the clock doesn't
None of us know. Let's get to Michigan Lance here on the Hurrdat Hotline. What's up, Lance?
Ohio State Lance, how we living?
$10 million man, Ted DiBiase.
You know what?
That was step one.
Oh, Lord.
Step two, beat the Yuck Eyes. Mission accomplished. I'm on cloud nine over here, buddy. I'm feeling good, feeling great.
Hey,
all right, so,
did you see the beginning of that game when Sharon Moore came out blowing kisses?
yes. I'm like, what is he doing?
Crazy.
He's always doing something corny. Man, always.
You know what that teaches me, real quick, Lance? You know what that teaches me? It's that you can do whatever you want as long as you win. Because if Nebraska had blown kisses to Iowa and then lost, we'd be having a whole other conversation. But now it's about handshake gate.
Man, it would have been heads would have been meeting the roll, right?
I immediately looked and I'm like, he must know something we don't know.
What's more disrespectful, not shaking hands or blowing kisses?
Oh, blowing kisses.
100%. 100%.
Listen, I'm not shake your hand before the game guy. Who cares about that? Like, so what?
You blow kisses at somebody, though, you're about to catch hands.
Hey, most definitely. Hey, man, wait, hold on a second. What? You calling me sweet? You calling me soft? You think this is? Hey, man. But how about this, though? How about they lost the fight after the game, too?
Yeah, I couldn't believe that. Guy's just getting hip tossed.
What?
Yeah.
That's what that blew my mind. Like, I didn't even know until hours later when people started doing video, maybe even the next day. I'm like, wait, hold on a second. They lost the fight, too? Like, hey, man, that's how bad is that? Like,
hey, so do you like Moore again?
Oh, yeah. Hey, listen, I told you, yeah, he accomplished two steps that needed to be done this season. Get a quarterback and beat Ohio State. Hey, we're back in good graces. It's all good, man.
Wow.
Going into the offseason, feeling good, feeling great. Hey, man, he turned that thing around. And he did it with some backups on defense Like, you know what I mean? So I'm like, all right, Sharon, you know what I mean? Now, he still got to show a little bit more. We'll see. I mean, he did what he did. He did good, man. Give him a contract extension. Give him a contract, a real one, and then let's see how this man can do, man.
He
you know, I'm not
a real one.
You know, hey, but I'm not mad that they gave him that little janky one. And got, hey, man, you guys show and prove, man.
The sign but not signed. Wait, no, he's got a contract. No, wait, I signed it. No, you didn't. No, I did.
Hey, but then how about my Bears finally firing the head coach? Like, hey, I've been having a great couple weeks, man.
Who do you want? Who do you want for the Bears?
Yeah, listen, man. I got a bad organization, man. Like, they're cheap. Like, I don't even know what they're gonna do. Like, it doesn't matter who I want. They're gonna go get somebody cheap and you never heard of. It's what they always do.
You're still poorly run.
Most definitely. Yes, I know.
I mean, that's what's got to change. The job, it's the best job opening if you had any sort of functional front office group.
Right, but they don't. I mean, it's a family business. They're cheap. Like that's why I was surprised at Michigan, like that they threw out this $10 million. I'm like, whoa, hold on a second. Okay, we trying to play with the big boys now. All right, let's get it. Like, all right, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, yeah, I'm all for that, man. I'm all for that. So just can people in Nebraska relax? Like,
no,
you guys.
No.
Yeah, I know.
We cannot relax, Lance.
We got about 60 seconds till the end of this break, and I'm guessing because I don't have a clock, and you know I'm going out on a limb because I can't tell time to begin with. But what's the sentiment that Miami is out of the playoffs in Florida?
Well, you know, I'm in northern Florida, so it's different.
Yeah.
Northern and southern Florida, two different things.
Yes, they are. Like northern and southern California.
I'm actually about to head down there, man. We're playing our semifinal game, one game away from state, playing the number 14 team in the country, Chaminade Madonna. And so kicking off at 7 p.m. in Hollywood.
How many different Chaminades are there? Is that the Chaminade?
No. Yes, that's the. Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yep. With Jeremiah Smith and all them. But those guys are gone. So we feel really good. Hey,
I got on my puffy vest. You sound like you got on your puffy chest.
Now, I'm not going to be blowing kisses, but I feel really good.
Hey, those guys are gone. Lance, we appreciate it as always. Good luck tonight in your semifinal, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Shane, apparently we missed Better Off Dead and High Fidelity.
Well, and Say Anything. That's the big one. That's the 80s one.
I'm 0 for 3.
That's the boombox above the head. Is John Cusack? No? Nothing?
No.
Never made any grand romantic gestures?
No.
More Hurrdat Sports Radio coming up next. We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. And we had a little movement in the old transfer portal last night for Nebraska.
Hang on.
Yeah?
Not to be confused with Dorothy Mantooth, but did you see Toki Wartu's message? He said he had a 7, I assume it's a him. I apologize.
They?
A 7-legger hit this past. Who does that?
I think the most I've ever had hit was a 5.
So just like on a random, you got last $10, take a shot.
Yeah, I did.
I've done that.
I used to do a lot of 3 and 4 teamers in college football, and then every once in a while I'd throw a 5. And I think the most I've ever hit is a 5.
That's crazy.
7's aggressive. Like you don't even expect to win 7s. Yeah.
Like, take a shot every day. Take a shot.
Yeah, like it says 900 on a $20 bet. Tank or Toki.
Toki Wartooth.
Dorothy Mantooth.
There has to be a like some of these names. Like I am glad Stank Nooner explained it to us.
Yeah,
of the cyclist. But what are we doing with Wartooth and whatnot?
Feels weird. I mean, we got Headley Lamar in here. I think that's a reference to something.
Actually, a funny dude though, low key.
Is it?
Yeah, he you watch his.
He asked what our 3 favorite deli meats are to start the show right off the bat.
Oh, well, you know my number 1.
Pastrami?
Corned beef, but close.
Yeah. You didn't used to like pastrami, but now you do.
I like Vrzal's pastrami.
Yeah. Corned beef is good. I like pastrami.
I've tried to replicate buying pastrami. It's not the same.
I like salami.
I'm going definitely corned beef. Like if I'm going to the deli and they're going to shave it for me,
Yeah.
I'm going corned beef. I'm going roast beef, and then probably this is going to sound incredibly ridiculous. But I'm a big Lebanon bologna guy.
I've never had that. I didn't.
It's fantastic. Wait, she does know it's delicious, Shane.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah,
Lebanese bologna.
Lebanese bologna.
Huh.
I got it from my buddy Brian Cobbs. He's caterer, and it looks like Cotto salami, but on steroids.
I'm not a huge roast beef guy. When it's good, it's really good, but a lot of people don't make it very good.
By the way, I know we got to get to the portal, but that whole ribeye,
prime rib deal. What'd your results end up being?
The poll's not over yet.
Oh, okay.
Took the heck off. The amount of I felt like the question was pretty simple.
Yeah, I thought so.
But again, in social media's defense, it probably needed the context of how we were talking about it on the show.
Probably. Right? That's kind of the fun part about poll questions, though, is you just take something totally out of context and throw it in somebody's face.
You made it like people made it seem as though I was off my rocker for being all in on ribeyes and all out on prime rib.
Yeah, I knew exactly what you meant. I
just would not. I just would not.
And you'll eat prime rib. Sure. You're just not going to choose it.
There's not very. I won't say that because I mean I see. I've been to some of these. How can I say this? I've been to some other ethnic restaurants who have had to sustain their people on different types of protein. So I'm not going to say I'll eat almost anything that used to breathe or walk.
Okay.
But I'll eat a lot of traditional protein.
It's not like a big goat guy.
Why'd you have to go there?
It's the first one I thought of. Definitely has
exactly what I was thinking.
Definitely has nothing to do with you.
This dude jumped right to what I wanted to say. Yeah, I'm not like jumping at the bit to eat goat. Just saying.
Fair. I think that's fair.
But I'll eat, buffalo, deer.
Yeah.
Turkey.
Yeah.
Don't
love turkey.
But that's
okay.
Get out of here.
So Emmett Johnson entered the transfer portal.
That's pretty fun.
You think Emmett Johnson likes goat meat?
No, he is super fit. He's a great eater.
Yeah.
He knows exactly what he's putting into his body.
He's hopping in the transfer portal. I think this is one where people are a little concerned.
Yeah. Yeah. For EJ, first of all, just because you enter the transfer portal
doesn't mean you stay there.
Doesn't mean you're staying in the portal. Mm-hmm. And that's one I think if everybody kind of puts their heads together,
they'll figure it out.
Could be fine, yeah.
I think we're going to see more of this. This is a guess on my part.
I'm a dude.
Toki Wartooth. That's an incredible screen name.
We're due for a day. Like it's been a stressful 14 days. We probably due for a Friday like this because
we need a little breather, a little palate cleanser.
Dude, you see the boom? I don't get the boombox jokes.
That's say anything.
I do get I want my $2 though.
I don't know that one.
That's the little dude was on the bike. The paper like $2. I want my $2.
Like Debo and Friday.
Yeah, except a lot smaller and white.
Okay.
And a child.
Oh, so I almost had it. I was so close.
Yeah, not quite Debo. Not actually anywhere near Debo.
They both had a bike though.
Yeah,
they were both on a bike.
One was used for a paper route. The other was just taken.
He was doing other kind of routes, I think.
Oh yeah.
You're right there?
Yep, I'm good. I think EJ's one of those guys that he's real thoughtful.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he understands kind of his value and versus his worth to the program in terms of what he's given. I'm not talking about necessarily money,
mm-hmm.
although he may, because on the open market,
he might be worth more.
He might be worth more.
And I think that's something we're going to start seeing.
But the value versus worth thing is something these young men will figure out
You got to learn.
in a hurry.
You got to learn.
And some of these guys, if I could just had enough time to like pull them to the side, because some I understand, some I'm like, because there's still probably a handful of no, not a handful. There's probably one to three where you're going to be like,
Guys you like that you don't want to see in there.
yeah,
Yeah.
So
I mean, honestly, if it's only 1 to 3, I think that's good. Like, I would expect that number to be higher. Yeah, no, I know.
1 to 3 left.
But I would expect that number to be higher because we're still going to see 40 more guys.
Yeah,
Probably.
in some capacity.
Yeah, and a lot of those are going to be walk-ons or guys that never played or were never going to play. But, like, with 40 guys left, I would expect more than 1 to 3 to be guys that I am not thrilled to see leave.
Yeah.
I will say, speaking of the, like, value versus worth thing, I do think we see this in professional sports a lot, and I think we're going to have to get a little bit more comfortable with it in college sports where guys might test the market a little bit. You know, when a team tells a guy, hey, we'll pay, this is what we want to pay you. If you can go find more value than this on the open market, we'll match it. We just don't think that's what the market is for you.
Yeah.
And then they go out, and sometimes guys find that market, sometimes they don't. But I think you might start to see that with college programs, and that's going to make people a little uncomfortable.
Sounds like marriage. Value versus worth. Clearly two different things.
Trying to stay married this time, so I'm going to continue to talk about NFL free agency in college football.
Bless your heart.
No, I think I think there's going to be several things we frequently see in college or in professional sports that we're going to have to get comfortable with in a hurry in college sports. Like there's this sound on TikTok. I don't know if this is a part of TikTok you're on or not, where people are like, hey, are we going to talk about this? And the sound basically goes, not unless a whole bunch of people get real cool about a bunch of stuff really fast. That's what college football and college sports are right now.
Yeah.
Like you're going to be really...
And it's okay.
Yeah.
And you know how I feel about EJ. Like I'm a big EJ guy, but I also said that I like that room too. So
more than I do.
Yeah, but I know, like, I think I know what they're after, and I think fit, and I love Parker coming out of high school, and you
like Mackay.
Well, yeah, I tried to tell you guys about him.
You like Mackay Nelson a lot
from day one.
That's a guy that came in late, so I wasn't surprised that he didn't really get run this year. But I think that's a guy you can look for next year. You still got Dowdell. You got Jamarian Parker coming in. I don't know what their plans are for Connor Booth, but that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I don't know how quick he'll be
ready.
And he's kind of the complementary piece of the big guy.
Yeah.
So maybe the role that a Liebentritt would have had, except could carry the ball.
Yeah, a little bit more dynamic. Yeah, I could definitely see that.
So I don't know. Like I wouldn't necessarily close the door on EJ, but if I'm not, again, it's a guy I talk to a ton, and I understand. I wouldn't panic over EJ just yet. That again, just because you're there doesn't mean you're going to stay there, and
doesn't mean you can't come back.
And there's still a couple guys in that room that I really, really like.
That's CB. I'm Ravi. Lulla. We'll be back with more Hurrdat Sports Radio coming up next. Wrapping up hour number 1 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. DB, I have a really important question for you.
Okay. Hey, is that thing working, Shane?
That thing wet?
Yeah, that thing's working wet.
I'm going to need you to knock it off.
That's almost certainly not going to happen.
Going back to the whole goat thing, too.
That thing wet.
Real quick, I have a very important question. So the actor that played Debo, his name is Tommy Lister Jr.
Yeah, R.I.P., right?
Yeah, died in 2020.
Yes.
What do you...
Yes, Shane, I got one.
What do you...
Let's not act like I didn't finally get one right.
It's been a
What
minute.
do you think Shane thought his name was before we looked it up?
Zeus.
No. His
It
name
is
is
Zeus.
Tommy Lister.
This is... it's Shane, so my range is huge.
It's another famous person that is not anything to do with Tommy Lister.
What was that guy's name?
Well, he does kind of act like all black people look alike. So I'm going to go with...
It is a black person. You're correct.
Go with your mama.
Oh, I'm telling.
You better show D some respect.
Yeah, and
No, I was going with your mama.
You better show Rose some respect.
oh man, a rose by any other name is still a rose. I'm gonna guess Shane thought his name was Clubber.
It was a
like,
boxer. It was Sonny Liston.
Oh, geez.
I was like, Shane, that's not.
Nope. So I know what he's thinking. He's thinking bald and black. That's what you're thinking. I know how you think. Look, he's so uncomfortable.
It's Michael Clark Duncan.
Him too.
Also dead.
Wow.
R.I.P. Respect.
I feel like we're going back to the goat reference. How'd you know I was thinking about goat? And I wasn't thinking Indian. I was thinking Ethiopian.
That's what I was too. I was going Africa.
Of course you were. You wouldn't stay in your own wheelhouse.
I mean, if you want to get not a lot of goat in India, southern India more, but their lamb is usually their go-to because they don't eat cows over there. But chicken and lamb, if they're gonna have
I'm so done.
chicken and lamb. They also have a lovely dish called paneer, which is a cheese-like substance that they use kind of as a meat substitute in a lot of dishes.
Just telling you that's not a substitute.
It's
No.
in the same sense,
Kind of like you thought Old Boy and Better Off Dead was like Debo.
yeah,
If you squint.
substitute. Yeah, you have one guy on a bike in a movie, you got another guy on a bike in a movie. What's the difference?
Sonny Liston, though, Shane.
Big, bald, and black.
You can't say that.
Did anything I say, was any of that not true? Were they both big?
It was your tone.
Were they both big?
Shootout wants to be mad at me.
Also, I got to say The Rock.
Were they both bald?
I don't know if technically you could. There's nothing black about The Rock.
I mean, his dad. His dad's black.
I don't know.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
He's all ball.
His dad's black, his mom's Hawaiian. Or Polynesian, whatever. Simone.
Rocky Johnson?
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
Rocky sounds ethnic. Except before the Stallone thing.
Well, also,
Marciano?
yeah, Marciano. Pretty Italian. That's an ethnicity. That's fair.
I'm done.
I was going to go with, was it Rocky Boyman, the linebacker?
Oh, from Oklahoma?
Yeah.
He was nice.
He was not ethnic.
Well, and it was Calmus though, right?
Yeah. He was.
I think he wore 20.
He did wear 20.
Yeah.
He did not look a lot like Debo.
So how much longer before we're on there?
Oh, we're live. Shoot. I should set up the show. Coming up at 8.
It's his fault. He said Sonny Liston.
I know.
What are we talking
It
about?
had to be addressed. It had to be addressed. He's no Debo Samuel.
Incredible.
8 o'clock.
Could have just moved on from it.
I could.
Yeah.
I mean,
You
really,
know
it
my
would've-
man's
it would've
got
been-
joke Tourette's.
It would have been that easy to do.
I've been holding a bunch of stuff in this week because I know DB's been stressed, and I just it's all coming out today. At 8 o'clock, we got Tim Verghese from inside Nebraska. He's gonna join us and hopefully get us back on the rails at some point.
I doubt it. Speaking of which, you see Funky Giblets?
I did not. At 8:45, Marc
He said
Weiszer.
Paneer's legit.
Paneer is really good. It's really good. It's like if tofu didn't suck. Like if tofu wasn't terrible, it would be paneer. Actually, it's actually very similar to a lot of things white people do with food. They take all the flavor out of it and give it to you anyway. Uh-oh, we lost DB. Tofu is really just the unseasoned version of paneer, I think. DB, you okay?
Why is it got to be a white thing?
I don't know that anybody who isn't white would come up with tofu.
You're probably right.
That's just a guess on my part. I don't know. I don't know where the origins of tofu come from. I could be wrong. I'll be honest. Tofu, just the name, does sound a little ethnic. Just seems like you might serve it with goat somewhere. But see, Shane thought that was funny. At 8:45, we're going to talk to Marc Weiszer. He's a Georgia beat writer for Athens Banner Herald
If we're still on the air.
about the SEC championship game. 9 o'clock, we'll talk to Mike Sautter from Hurrdat Sports and NEB Preps. and at Matt Vrzal. It's at 9:45. If the show hasn't gone off the rails already, it's Matt Vrzal at 9:45 to wrap up the show. What was Stank Nooner's or Funky Giblets comment? Japan, sir. I don't know what that's in reference to.
You gotta go back up to the top.
Okay, let's see what we got here. This is terrific.
No.
Oh, Asian Joe popped in the chat too. We appreciate Asian Joe. That's his screen name. If I could call him Stank Nooner, I could call him Asian Joe.
No, I get it.
I can't find it. Where's the Funky Giblets, Shane?
It's about. Oh, I have a headache.
You okay?
Huh? Yes,
You okay?
Yes.
Ooh, hat on a hat says tofu is pretty big in China and more varied in flavor. Oh, good.
That's what I think the Japanese reference
Yeah, that's
was
Funky
to.
Giblet says it's a Japanese food. That's fine. I think white people ruined it.
Funky. Oh, knock it off.
Like they have many of things.
Funky Giblets is kind of like he strikes me as a foodie.
That makes sense. Yeah. No, Japanese food in general has flavor though, so I don't know what happened like over.
Hey, Shay.
Like on the.
How are you feeling about Sonny Liston?
I don't know like what happened on the trip across the.
I'm not listening to
That's
you.
fine. Across the Pacific, like I don't know if the seawater leached all the flavor out of the tofu before it got to America, but something bad happened to tofu between the shores of Japan and the United States.
I thought his name was Tony.
Figures.
After you said Sonny,
But no,
you
no,
said
but
Tony.
that's where I got that from. Yeah.
Are we back on Debo?
Yeah, he
But his
goes.
name's Tommy. I didn't realize his
He
name
goes
was Tommy.
Sonny
So,
Liston.
RIP, I'm
He
sorry.
goes Sonny Liston.
I don't have.
No, Tony Liston.
When I tell you I don't recognize what's going on, I don't recognize what's going on.
Stank Nooner says white people ruined it. The new that's what she said.
Oh.
Not everything. It's just, there's not a lot of flavor.
Hey, surprised to hear Bill Belichick interviewing for a college job?
I'm stunned, honestly. What's more likely, that we'll be on the air by the end of the show or that Bill Belichick takes a college job? 6 1/2 dozen?
I think we'll still be on the air. I think. Has anybody called yet?
Cross our fingers. Oh, good. Asian Wyatt's calling. What could go wrong?
Oh, Lord.
He wants to talk about food. Asian Wyatt, what do you got going on?
Oh, my gosh.
What's up, buddy?
Good morning, Wyatt.
Are you gonna put him on the air, Shane?
He just dropped.
Oh,
We
no.
lost Wyatt?
Oh.
Oh,
Our guy RP says, in my prior life, my ex got food poisoning from tofu. I didn't know you could get food poisoning from it. I didn't either. I was unaware.
Hey, did you read Tim's comment?
No, we do have some controversy, though, because the mayor...
Tim said, Bo Jackson makes the best tofu in the world. Now that's a good pull.
So,
We have Wyatt back.
Tim's a professional comedian, so that's not fair.
Dude, is he?
Yeah, he is.
Oh, that's pretty funny.
That's why he was here. That's what he does for a living.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, he's a funny dude.
We got time for Wyatt. Let's get Wyatt. Good morning. How are you?
Let's get ethnically ambiguous Wyatt on the phone. What's going on, bud?
Oh, what did Asian Joe take my Asian moniker now?
No, I feel like I'm a little bit of trouble this morning. I'm trying to steer out of it.
Oh man, he stepped all in it this morning.
What's up?
I don't know. I just something need to call in or something. It's like, what are we talking, tofu and ethnic food? Are we moving off from crock pots?
Yeah. So is in Wyatt, in your community, whatever that may be, is tofu better than it is among the whites?
Well, I mean, our people eat tofu. It's mainly in soups, though.
Is it better? Does it taste better though than in white people food? Because generally, it's totally flavorless when other groups cook it. So I'm curious if you guys do better.
Yeah, you want to put it in something where it's going to soak up some flavor and a whole lot of spices. So you're not, so it's basically just a filler. It's not really giving you any flavor.
Mm. So you have to do a lot of the work around tofu. It's kind of like Nebraska's running back room. It's just fine, and it's going to depend on what it looks like around it, how good it's going to be.
And this may surprise you because, because I'm adopted, but my mom's Korean also adopted me. And my dad was from Georgia.
What are the chances?
So, yeah. So, I'm not just South Korean, I'm Southern Korean. And so I got a little bit of broad a broad food base here. That is, but it is a little white as well.
Hey, me too. My mom's white. My dad's from India. I'm not adopted though, but
Yeah.
we got that in common.
But yeah, I grew up on Southern food as well too. So both kinds, South and Southern. So.
South Korean and Southern. We've got our culturally diverse Wyatt. We appreciate it, bud.
Anytime.
We'll talk to another culturally diverse guy, Tim Verghese, coming up here at 8 o'clock from inside Nebraska. I think DB might still be here when we come back. I'm not 100% sure, though. It's Hurrdat Sports Radio. Welcome back to Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. That's DB. He's here. He's back.
Oh.
I'm Ravi Lulla here on the Pillar Exterior stage. We're joined by Tim Verghese from inside Nebraska. Talk a little Husker football on a pretty big week of news. What's going on, Tim? Oh, I think you're on mute, buddy. Oh, he pulled a full Brian Edwards here. We still don't have you. I don't know what's happening.
You got a mute button?
There we go.
There you
Back.
Oh, what's up, Tim?
What's up? What's up?
How we doing?
Not too bad. One of those weeks.
Yeah.
You've been staying busy?
Yeah. No, definitely.
It's out
You
there
can count-
twiddling your thumbs, huh? Just looking for something.
No, I can count on my fingers the amount of sleep I've gotten over the last 3-4 days. It's been one of those type of weeks.
Yeah, just a few things going on, I guess. I suppose I don't even know where to start. Where would you rank the events of this week in terms of importance? If I give you keeping the recruiting class together, Tony White leaving, Terrence Knighton leaving, Dana Holgerson getting locked down, or transfer portal exits?
Weirdly enough, I think the two most important developments of the week are Knighton leaving and the portal exits, because those are the two things where I felt the most unsure about. Like, I don't know where Nebraska goes after losing Terrence Knighton. I trust Matt Rule because he's had a sound defense everywhere he's been, specifically up front. He's had a sound defensive front, and he's made good defensive line coach hires. But Knighton had a special relationship with a lot of those guys in that room, which is, obvious through social media, obvious through what we've seen over the past 2 years, and obvious with the portal exits, as a result of his departure. Tony White leaving was somewhat expected. Again, those portal departures, though, some of those guys unexpected. Losing Emmett Johnson yesterday, that's just a tough one. That's one where, there are other schools in the mix already. They're trying to get him, to come to their program. There's a couple of those things. I was talking to some schools about Princewell, and talking to some evaluators about Princewell. They see Princewell as the guy that's going to be one of the top guys in the portal, regardless of position. And he didn't have a productive year for Nebraska, but you watch the tape, and schools watch the tape, and they're really intrigued by a long, bendy pass rusher with the explosive ability that he has. And so I think those two, in terms of what affects Nebraska the most, I think losing Knighton and losing those guys to the portal, because keeping the class together, I thought was impressive. But, there's a handful of guys, I think 10-ish guys in this class that I think have a chance to contribute early. Ultimately, it won't really, really affect Nebraska all that much. Obviously, Cortez Mills will, Isaiah Mosey will, Christian Jones and Dawson Merritt have a chance to impact Nebraska. And then on the Tony White stuff, I think that comes in last just because I kind of figured he was leaving this offseason one way or the other.
When you take a look at kind of so the portal deal is interesting just because I'm trying to establish this differentiation between worth versus value. And I think a lot of these guys will understand the difference between those two terms as they go through this portaling process. How much of what you feel like you see so far has to do with not understanding the difference between those two versus literally seeking just a new opportunity?
Yeah, it's part of it. I mean, again, Nebraska is going to do what they can to keep guys they want around. But like Matt Rule said, this season, again, he prepped a lot of people for what was coming. Not just when he said there's going to be, a lot of guys lost to the portal because of, this roster attrition and having to cut down. Obviously, some of these guys he's lost, he wouldn't like to lose. But I think a quote people are forgetting, he said he's not going to chase guys because of the way they're treated at Nebraska. And so, there are other programs out there that can throw a money amount or can throw a specific role amount or whatever at a Nebraska player. And they can come back to Nebraska and be like, hey, this is what I'm getting. And Rule's like, you know what? Like, go chase the opportunity.
Yep.
Go get the bag. Like that's just kind of where they're at, because for at certain positions, they think they have enough depth. And at others, it's like, hey, at the end of the day, you have to kind of lean back and fall back on who you are as a program and who you want to be, where no one's above this exception. You can't make an exception for anybody when you're trying to run a program.
Tim, as you, as some news sort of trickles out this morning that Nebraska might be working to bring back Phil Simpson from Florida State to coach edge rushers, does that mitigate your concern at all about the Terrence Knighton departure, or how does that move your needle?
Somewhat. Simpson's a good recruiter, and seeing that news started to trickle out this morning, I think makes recruiting a little interesting. I think you feel a little better about some of the Florida flavor you have on the roster, especially the young guys, Vincent Shavers, Willis McGahee, Larry Tarver, Amari Sanders. Like the odds of keeping those guys around improve by having Simpson around. You feel good about, kind of what he can do with that jack room, with the outside linebacker room moving forward. But I don't think it necessarily impacts that room all that much. I think it helps mitigate from a recruiting standpoint, but I think Nebraska's going to have to go make a splash, I think, to keep that line together and try and replicate kind of what Terrence Knighton was able to do with that room over the last 2 years.
So how do you separate, Tim, in your mind? Because I'm a big Knighton guy. Taking advantage, not taking advantage, but he had some older guys with Nash and Ty, and he had some young guys with like Keona and Van Poppel and Kai. And how do you separate the development from starting with some pretty good ingredients?
Yeah, I think you look at both. You look at the fact that, obviously he inherited a good amount of talent, but that talent hadn't played up to their potential until he got here. Like Ty Robinson kind of put it together this year. So you balance like that top end, hey, he's got all this talent to work with, but also you saw the development of the top end guys, and you saw the bottom come up too. You saw James Williams develop into what he became. You saw Kai Wallen develop into a flash rusher at times. You saw Jabari Butler kind of come into his own. Keona Davis, the strides that he's made this year. You're seeing the real-time development of young guys with potential, and you're also seeing older guys take the steps they needed to take at the tail end of their college careers to take that next leap in their long-term career.
We're talking with Tim Verghese from Inside Nebraska. Tim, as you kind of filter through this, you said you assumed Tony White would be gone, which I think a lot of people did. I think the manner in which he left was more concerning to people than that he actually left. But moving on from his actual departure, what are you looking for in the next defensive coordinator at Nebraska?
I'm looking for something that inspires. I think that's the big thing right now is with the losses and some of the shocking losses up front. I think Nebraska is going to have to make something of a splash to kind of keep that room, to keep that group together, but also kind of make a positive impression and try generate some momentum, generate some positivity. John Butler should be a candidate for this job. I think his resume speaks for itself, and I think he's going to have an opportunity to earn the job. Is he the splash hire necessarily? I don't know, but I think you can mitigate that. Where if you do an internal promotion, I do think you have to go make a splash at the D-line spot or at the secondary spot. You're seeing what Florida State's doing right now. They got Tony White, they got Terrence Knighton, and you have to imagine some of these guys that have entered the portal are going with them. Nebraska can do the very same thing. They can go find somebody, a D-line coach or a secondary coach, or even a defensive coordinator, someone that can bring some guys with them, because Nebraska needs a little influx of talent right now to mitigate some of the losses they've suffered.
Tim, do you look at Nebraska's prowess or how people feel about them based on whether they get sitting guys or they don't get sitting guys? That seems to be, I was going to say a fan thing, but maybe that's just a thing in general where we equate that to like how good of a hire someone is.
Yeah, somewhat. But I don't know. I mean, I think there's some element of you have to have some trust in Matt Rule because he's made good hires, specifically on the defensive side of the ball. Like, across his career, I think he's done a really good job there. So, yeah, I mean, there's an element of, I think from a perception standpoint, a sitting guy looks better. But, if you can find like a Butler, Butler was not technically a sitting guy, and overall it's been a good hire so far. He's kind of was dealt a shorthand with what he had to work with in the room, and he's developing the rest of that room together. But I thought Butler was a good hire as a technically not a sitting guy, just a guy technically off the street. I'm interested to see what Nebraska does here because you can go a couple of different directions, and they want to stick with the same defense. They want to stick to certain ideals and rules that Rule has for that side of the ball, but I think they can afford to be a little creative here.
Hey, if I wanted to pick, I don't know if it's context clues or deductive reasoning, but I don't think you float Phil Simpson or guys like that without having an idea of who you want your defensive coordinator to be. That can't be too much of a reach, can it?
No, I don't think so. I mean, again, it's his side of the ball. It's the same way with Dana Holgerson basically having control of his side of the ball and wanting to bring his guys in. I think there's an idea of who the next guy could be based off that.
You think it's a situation where, because if I'm trying to put context clues together, I go, okay, we're looking at defensive assistants here, judging by how Coach Rule handled Dana Holgerson on the offensive side of the ball. We can maybe assume there's a defensive coordinator that they have a plan for at least.
Yeah.
If we haven't heard a name yet, we assume he's currently coaching somewhere and is a sitting guy somewhere. I mean, are those fair conclusions?
His MO is to not say anything until it's announced.
Yeah.
Right.
It doesn't usually leak.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. But you're right. I mean, like the fact that this is happening now, like, it's an announcement that could end up happening sooner than we think, just because, there may be a guy waiting that they're just waiting to see what happens this weekend, what happens in the next couple of weeks with bowl games, et cetera, et cetera. This is going to be one of those hires that is interesting because you also wonder, hey, if it's not John Butler, how does he feel about it? Does he feel slighted by the fact that he came in with the opportunity to get a defensive coordinator spot and then he doesn't get it? Is there going to be, a better working relation between the back end of the defense and the front end of the defense? Is it going to come together where Butler has control of his back five and then the front seven? Because you've seen coordinators do that at a successful level where the front and the half are different calls and called in differently, but it works together. It just didn't seem to work together this year.
You know what's interesting? I'm listening to you as I'm trying not to beat up my co-host. You know what we haven't asked, but we talk as though we know. There's this weird thing where maybe Coach Butler, after being back in the college game, has changed his sentiment about coordinating, not because he doesn't think that he can do it or would be good at it, but it may take him some time to get back acclimated to talking and coaching people much younger than he's been accustomed to coaching. Maybe he's learning on the fly too.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that because, again, he was on the radio a couple of weeks ago and he was talking about having to kind of not dumb down necessarily, but
talking about the difference between like coaching Micah Hyde and Caleb.
Right, but that's the thing. Like that. I thought that was a good context into kind of his struggle and his, the adjustment between coaching at the NFL level and coaching at the college level. I mean, there is an element of that where, for him, maybe he has an idea of what he hypothetically like to run, but understands you can't really run that with college kids. You can run that with NFL kids or NFL players, And so I think right now, there might be an element of that. I don't think that's not. I think that's certainly on the table. He's a guy that there's also, Damon, you know this too. Like, there's some guys that are just better as position coaches. Like, they are better at what they do with an individual position when they can focus in on a guy, when they can focus in on a group of guys and develop them. Some guys just have that natural knack of developing individual positions. But when you zoom out, and it's a flip side, like Garrett McGuire, I think is the opposite of that. I think that's a guy that you get him on a whiteboard, you get him talking scheme. He's brilliant. He can right up there with anybody. But when it comes to development and developing players and, improving a position group, I don't think he can do that necessarily at this point in his career.
Tim, it's kind of funny you bring that up because it's something I talk about all the time. Like the skill sets of a position coach to a coordinator and a coordinator to a head coach are all like pretty different, but somehow
vastly different.
But somehow we've decided that is the career path that you have to take in order to get these jobs in any sport, really. It's kind of funny because we're talking about, like DB said, vastly different skill sets, but we never really consider it's like, oh, maybe Garrett McGuire would just be a better offensive coordinator, not for Nebraska necessarily, but just a better offensive coordinator than he is a wide receivers coach.
Right. And I mean, there's an element of that too. Like, talking to people that are somewhat in the know of McGuire's situation and him coming up and all of that, I really think the best thing in his career at this point and early on is cut your teeth somewhere, man. Like go to the high school level, go be a high school OC, go coordinate your own offense and cut your teeth and prove, that you can do it, and I think right now, like, he's learning a lot across his career now, going down to Texas Tech, going to be learning from his dad, learning from that offensive staff down there. It's a good offensive staff they're putting together. But that's the whole thing is like, I do wonder a little bit, like, hey, when does he get his shot to call an offense, and what does that look like? Because again, people laud him for his football knowledge, people laud him for his X's and O's ability. We just haven't seen his hand in an offense yet, and his like what it looks like when he's leading something.
When you're taking a look at like proximity to being where Nebraska wants to be in terms of a program, how important relative to that is the defensive coordinator hire?
Yeah. I think it's important. Like, I mean, in my opinion.
Okay, go ahead.
In my opinion, I just think over the next 2 years, you kind of have to capitalize on the talent you have, specifically at quarterback, and some of the young talent you have on the offensive side of the ball. The time is now. There isn't this like, okay, we're bringing in someone and we're going to develop up. This isn't one of those situations. Like, you got to be ready to go.
It feels like they're a good DC hire away from being off and running. That's kind of how it feels to me on the outside looking in and kind of being on the inside looking out. With a good defensive coordinator hire, it seems like they could be off and running. That's just my feel.
And that would lend itself to the idea of maybe they're going for a sitting guy. Like
right.
Ready to go.
I mean, does that?
It does, because again, they've been aggressive. You hire again, like, you hire an offensive mind like Dana Holgorsen. He brings his wide receivers coach that's an established recruiter. On the defensive side of the ball, you have multiple staffers now. I mean, hypothetically, again, in the staff, you got John Butler, a guy that could be a defensive coordinator or even a head coach at some point in his career. You've got Rob Dvoracek, a young rising star in the industry. You've got Dackel Shorts, another young rising star in the industry. You have Donovan Raiola, who's done good work over the past 3 seasons. And then you have Dana Holgorsen overseeing the offensive side of the ball. You're right. Again, one splash DC hire. And again, at least on paper, you're looking at a roster and you're looking at a program that is ready to strike.
Tim, before we let you go here, got a few minutes left. I wanted to dive into this recruiting class a little bit because I know you watch these guys a ton, and you've got a great eye for evaluation, not just from Nebraska guys, but kind of nationally. So I'm curious your overall thoughts on this class. I know you mentioned a couple guys that you think could play early, but your overall thoughts on the quality of this class and maybe a couple guys that you really like that aren't getting as much attention.
Yeah, I like the quality of the class. I think that there's a good group of top end guys that can contribute early, and then you have a lot of guys at the bottom of this class, quote unquote, the bottom of this class, that you can develop. And I know some people don't really understand that Nebraska's trying to win now, and they see a couple of these guys that are developmental prospects, and they're like, we need win now guys. That's going to come through the portal. But understand that to build a program up, you have to have a balance of developmental prospects and ready to go prospects. And the guys that they took swings on, the guys that are these developmental guys, the Brian Tapus, the Jeremiah Joneses to a certain extent, the Tanner Turches, those guys in the class have high ceilings when you put it together for them. Brian Tapu is a guy that I think, with 2-3 years of real development, if he commits himself to the program and commits himself to his development, that's a guy with future starting tackle ability, future starting O-line ability. Tanner Church is a guy that I'm curious where Nebraska puts him because, right now they're talking about him starting on the defensive side of the ball. I kind of like his ability at receiver, and I think Nebraska should give him a shot. I wonder, Dana Holgerson might recognize that too, watching his film. He's a 6'2 receiver, can explode vertically, can do some of those things you want a receiver to do in this offense, can go up and get the ball, has a lot of natural receiver traits, but does have that versatility on the other side of the ball. I think if you're talking guys that I like more than, I'm bullish on, I think in this class, I like Bryson Weber. I think, a lot of people kind of
long son of a gun, isn't he?
Very long, very long corner, very athletic, and when I talked to him over the summer, he talked about how as a junior he mainly played corner using his athleticism, didn't really have the instincts, didn't really know how to develop. And I don't think a lot of people know this, but one of his guardians now is Garyon Conley, the former Ohio State cornerback who's now with the Raiders. I think he's still in the NFL. But Garyon, kind of took him under his wing over this past offseason, kind of worked with him over the course of the season. And you look at his senior year and you watch some of the stuff and you talk to people in the know down there in Houston that saw him play. He's paired those instincts up really well. And so now he's got instincts to pair with a 6'3 frame, with really good athleticism, with natural track speed, with the ability to kind of sink his hips and flip and turn and run. So I like Weber a lot. I think he's a year or two away, but I think that's a guy that you like to have in that cornerback room that you keep developing. You have guys in the room that also look like him that he could look up to and develop behind. Up front, on the other side of the ball, I like Connor Booth. I'll say that. I think Connor Booth's going to produce at Nebraska more than people realize, just because he did what you want. Yeah, you realize, with a guy like him, like, hey, Class C2, but he produced the way you'd want a Power 4 commit to produce playing Class C2 competition. And I think that matters. And I think seeing him in person and getting an idea of how big he is, how fast he is, and some of the stuff that he can do as a running back, I think he's better than people give him credit for. And I'm talking about a guy that ran for 3,000 yards that I don't think is giving enough credit for what he did as a senior.
Tim, as we kind of talk through this recruiting class, when we talked on Wednesday, you and I and Austin, it appeared as though Jeremiah Jones was not going to end up as part of Nebraska's class. Do you have any insight into how that back and forth went, where Jeremiah ended up signing with Nebraska?
Yeah, and Damon, and I know I was watching that live signing day show, and Rule was scheduled to come on it. And Rule was scheduled to come on at a certain point and didn't come on, and I was like, oh, he's on the phone. He's on the phone with Jeremiah.
Bam.
I've dealt with that before.
Crazy 5 hours. You kind of have an idea based on kind of what you just said, but everything from like Knighton to Jeremiah Jones, just to have the show and know that this chaos is going on was incredible.
Oh, I'm sure. But yeah, it was like again, it was just a last minute effort, like Rule putting in the effort, 1890 putting in, a little additional help in there too, to kind of keep him calm and keep him committed. And it's a big deal. And I think Nebraska recognizes it's a big deal. Rule was excited about getting him secured. You see the way, how much love he gets from the coaching staff whenever he visits. And, I don't know long-term where he ends up. They're going to start him on the offensive side of the ball. I think he's going to have a chance to, compete for early playing time because he's a big body receiver. But I think his long-term ceiling, and a lot of people agree, is on the defensive side of the ball, where he could play safety, he could play linebacker. And there's even some people out there that think he can eventually develop into an edge rusher. He's got all the potential in the world. And I think he was a must get in this class, because I truly believe this at like, he's one of the bigger sleepers, not just in this class. I think he's one of the bigger sleepers in the 2025 cycle across the country.
Mm-hmm. Tim Verghese, Inside Nebraska. Great stuff as always, Tim. We appreciate it. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, TV.
Yes, sir. You too.
We'll be back. More Hurrdat Sports Radio. Halfway through the show here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. That's DBM, Ravi, Lulla. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and we're brought to you by our friends at Folding Warehouse Omaha. It is a great place to go, whether you're just with a few friends or with your whole company. They have the space to have you covered. Make sure you go to foldingomaha.com to reserve a lane, check out their hours, and check out all of their amenities. They have 2 full bars, but you can bring your own food. Check out fowlingomaha.com. So Hot Danger made a very funny comment on the stream. He says, I still think Ravi and Tim should have a podcast where we review Nebraska Indian restaurants called, wait for it, None of Your Business, which is hilarious.
It's a lot of equal opportunity offenders in here.
Yeah, that's how you don't get in trouble.
No ethnic group is safe.
Everybody. Although Denny on Twitter said I hadn't gotten to the Irish yet. I don't have anything for them right now.
Denny is in DP?
Yeah.
Oh, he's cool. He can take it too. He's funny.
But don't worry, if something comes up, I won't be afraid.
What he say the other day? I watched him on one of his channels.
Yeah.
He was approaching it from a fan's perspective, so I felt like he lent it super credibility.
Okay.
But I have to go back and find it. But I was kind of, I think I either liked or favored it, one of the two.
Can I throw something at you from a fan perspective?
No. Are you a fan? I'm a fan. I'm a fan.
I'm a fan.
You're a fan.
I like fans.
All right. What is it?
I have a prediction on defensive coordinator. It's a guess more than a prediction, but I have a guess.
Okay.
I would like to put out there.
Oh no, he didn't.
That I think the defensive coordinator, based on just reading tea leaves, I don't actually know anything. I want to make that very clear. This is just me guessing. I think it's going to be Scott Simons from SMU.
Do you?
I do. So as we were talking with Tim there, I'm kind of going through.
You and Kobe.
Yeah, Kobe mentioned it in the chat as well.
So Kobe was in the stream for the network.
Oh, was he?
Just wanted the name. I recognized. I was like, oh, I know him.
So as we're walking through this, you brought up a really good point. They're probably not floating names out, or maybe Tim brought it up. I don't know.
No, it was me, Ravi.
Well, I like to just give credit where credit's due.
Sometimes I can be smart.
A lot of times.
Knock it off.
I wouldn't ask you like biology questions, but I
Move on.
I'm trying.
You asked me the same.
But so you brought up a very good point about you're probably not hearing defensive line coach names unless there's a defensive coordinator. They have a pretty good idea who it's going to be. I agree with that because of how we saw him operate with Dana Holgorsen. I also believe that if there's a name in place or a name that's tentatively agreed to and we haven't heard about it yet, it's probably somebody that's playing this weekend. Generally, you don't wait for bowl season to be over unless somebody's playing for a championship. That SMU qualifies for that. They're playing in the ACC championship game tomorrow. Simons is a name that is really well regarded as a young up-and-coming defensive coordinator. And stylistically, I think he fits the complementary football in terms of what Dana wants to do on offense. He's used to defending with a high-volume offense. For those reasons, that's my prediction.
Yeah.
Scott Simons, SMU.
The two that we keep hearing are Simons and Arnett. So,
yeah, currently a analyst at Ole Miss, but previously at Mississippi State.
Yeah.
Who was again very well regarded.
Yeah.
That's a guy I think people would be excited about.
I don't know, but you asked me on Monday if I thought the DC was in house, and I said I didn't think so.
Yeah, I don't.
And I honestly like. About 15% of the time, I'll have an inkling.
Mm-hmm.
This one, I'm kind of now. I'm literally. You're making me paranoid.
Oh, sorry. I have a weird OCD. I'm not going to explain it. It's fine.
So can I just say something?
Yeah.
Like if we didn't start on these sides of the table after Drew down, I would have moved over there because I don't like not being able to see though.
We can switch if you want.
Can I talk to you out of my left eye?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I do this weird. So when you pull the shades up,
yes,
I do this weird thing where I try and line up the shades with the grass line out there. That's all I'm doing. There's nothing out there.
It's interesting because I think people that I normally do interviews with all the time like the same side.
Oh yeah,
like Jess totally has a side.
Yeah,
like Avery has a side.
I can do whatever you want.
I wonder what I would look like right-eyed. This one is so lazy because it's the one that had the stitches.
So not like Lisa Left Eye.
R.I.P.
You're not burning anybody's house down.
So what's with like no, is that Chili? Which one of us left us? Chili left us, right?
Like the red hot chili peppers?
No. The C and TLC.
Oh.
T-Buzz, Left Eye, and Chili.
Okay.
T-Boz used to be the best looking. She did not age well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Obviously, Left Eye is no longer with us.
Right?
I believe that's right. She's the one that burned down Andre Rison's house, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm just making sure.
Like over time, though, this has nothing to do with anything. Chili turned out to be the best looking one.
Yeah, she passed away a while ago.
See, I'd have got that one right.
2002.
Outside of your big, bald, and black, which I still don't think you can say, but
Are any of those inaccurate?
Oh, can't wait for the Cliff King to start today. Big wrestling guy.
That's all.
Big wrestling guy.
Now,
so it's not like I can have wrestling watch parties. I only have I don't know.
You can invite Cody over.
Cody would talk the whole time.
You don't like a talker while you're watching stuff.
No, but what he will do is he and I can he'll be watching at one place and I'll be watching at another, and he could rapid fire text. I don't know how he does. Well, I've watched you. I'm
a quick texter.
It's incredible.
I'm a slow Googler, but I'm a quick texter.
That's mind-boggling. Takes you 25 minutes to look something up. But if you wanted to ask somebody what they had for dinner and how their night went, you could fire that thing off in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
I've been texting a lot of my life.
Very nimble thumbs.
I was early on texter. I was an early adapter of texting.
I'm a voice text guy.
I know.
I don't know. I'm going to let you know something today. I don't appreciate what's going on with you.
That thing wet.
Okay. This started about 6:50.
I brought you a gift this morning.
Yes, you did. You're tempting me. Could it be Satan? It's very tempting. And then your dumb butt.
Listen, I'm not happy about it.
All right, guys. I have to share this because this dude's an idiot. So I talk about this all the time. I've been jonesing for a breakfast sandwich.
Yep.
But I clearly am not eating the
bun.
The bun.
Yeah. Or
so
the
yesterday I uttered something about, I don't know. I think I said, "Oh man, if I stay on this hot streak, man, you may have to watch me eat a McDonald's breakfast sandwich open faced." So I get here. And there's a sandwich sitting here. And I was like, oh, man, no, you didn't. This is too tempting.
Yeah.
It's still sitting here. It's hard.
All wrapped up.
Yeah. So, during a break, I stand up and I take a gander.
Walk around a little bit, Yeah.
You have a perfectly shaped sausage patty with some cheese remnants sitting in the paper.
Yeah, in the wrapper. Yeah.
The best part of the sandwich you have discarded.
It is the best part of the sandwich. You're not wrong.
And you have no qualms with it.
Oh, I have a lot of qualms about it. I've been trying to make it clear.
You have a perfectly good piece of sausage just sitting in the wrapper.
I'm not excited about it. I'm not happy about it. I'm not happy that it's there.
What is wrong? What is wrong with you?
So I tried to explain to you.
Hey, can I get a bone-in ribeye with just the bone?
That's totally on me.
I've been trying to explain to you recently. I don't know what's happened. I've had some digestive issues with beef.
Mm-hmm.
And pork is okay, but I wasn't super confident that was 100% pork patty from McDonald's. And so after I ordered it, I didn't really think about this because I used to eat these all the time. After I ordered it, I was like, oh, shoot, I don't want to not feel good during the show. So I took the sausage out, but I was still hungry because I didn't bring my Uncrustable because I went to McDonald's. And so I just ate the which I don't even like the egg. I hate the egg.
I'm not gonna lie. I watched how they make them. Those are fresh, actually.
That's fine.
They don't come in the plastic.
I just don't love the eggs from the fast food eggs in general. And usually by the time I get to it, it's a little cold, so it's not very good. And so I ate the part of the sandwich I don't like because I was hungry and I was concerned about making myself not feel good during the show.
I don't even know what's wrong with you.
I just
eggs and eggs in football.
I just explained to you what was wrong with me. Denny just put out a really good meme on Twitter. You should look at that when you get a chance. Hey, it's really good. Coming up.
What is going on around here?
Coming up, I'll tell you what's going on. We're gonna talk to Marc Weiszer. He's a Georgia beat writer for the
talking
Athens
about Uncrustables as an adult.
Banner Herald. Listen, they're tasty. And when I take them out of the freezer, by the time I get here, they're just perfect to eat. Wow. Listen, I told you before, if it's good enough for the NFL, it's good enough for me.
Ravi Metcalf.
A lot of similarities in that we eat a couple of bags of candy every day. Mine's for low blood sugar, though. I don't know what his is. That's DB. I'm Ravi. Lulla. More Hurrdat Sports Radio coming up next. Wrapping up hour number 2 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We are joined now by Marc Weiszer. He's the Georgia beat writer for the Athens Banner Herald. Marc, how are you this morning?
Doing well. How are you?
Oh, we are, silly season. We're right dab smack in the middle of it. Fortunately for you guys, it's still all about business.
Yeah, Georgia's got some football to play this week and looks like beyond. So kind of used to that this time of year.
Marc, it's interesting because I think early on, even I used to put Texas and Georgia in the same kind of category, and then I watched the Texas-Georgia game, and I'm like, gosh, Georgia's pretty good. Then the rest of the season kind of unfolded, and I'm thinking to myself, I think Georgia is pretty good. What's the consensus for you, and are they just simply a victim of being their own benchmark?
I mean, this is the kind of team this year that, I can have one opinion at halftime and I can have another opinion at the end of the game. I mean, this team is all over the place. And even, we saw what happened at Alabama where they didn't show up to begin with, and then they stormed back and went ahead and then ended up losing the game at the end. I mean, Georgia Tech, they were down 17-0 at halftime and then found a way to get a couple touchdowns in the last 5 minutes and then prevailed after 8 overtimes. So I don't know what it's going to look like on Saturday with Georgia. I think I know what Texas is going to bring. But if Georgia's at their best, I think they're better than Texas. But I'm not confident that they're going to be at their best. So, it's going to be interesting.
Marc, are you surprised at all that after the way we saw that first game play out between Georgia and Texas, that Texas is favored in what's essentially a home game for Georgia?
No, not exactly. I mean, I think Texas is taking care of business against, arguably, or I guess not even arguably, it's been an easier schedule. But, when you see Georgia kind of, getting their butts kicked at Ole Miss and then Ole Miss losing, the next game against Florida, you see UMass running for 200-plus yards against Georgia in Athens. Then Florida loses their starting quarterback and they have a walk-on that came from Yale and is hanging with Georgia till the end. I mean, it's hard to figure out exactly. Georgia hadn't played defensively like they did against Texas all year. I mean, their best pass rushers had their best games, Jalen Walker, Michael Williams, and they really haven't been heard from much recently in terms of sack numbers and, really being huge difference makers. So I think that's part of the deal.
Marc, just in watching Georgia all year, I do always talk with my partner. We felt like the difference between Georgia and some of these teams that are right there that have similar quarterback situations, Drew Aller, Quinn Ewers, the quarterback situation at Texas in general, that Beck kind of has the ability to overcome. Doesn't always have to be perfect, but a lot of times can figure it out. After a season of ups and downs, do you believe that to still be accurate, that he's probably the best of the rubber band man bunch of the aforementioned?
Yeah, I mean, he's playing really good football now. He had a really rough stretch of 6 games where I think he had 12 interceptions. He hadn't thrown an interception in the last 3 weeks. I guess there's a ball or two that could have been went off of DB's hands. But he's confident, and he doesn't count himself and his offense out even when they're down a lot. So I think that's a good trait to have this time of year when you'd be playing really good teams. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, he's played his best ball in Athens. If they lose this game, they'll be back home probably for another game in the playoff in the first round. But I'm curious to see, if he can play kind of without these turnovers, in a quote-unquote neutral field against a Texas team that he threw 3 interceptions again the first time around.
Marc, have you seen a difference? Obviously, the results are different, but in anything about Carson Beck, either the way he's processing things or can you pin down what happened in the middle of the season where he all of a sudden had all these interceptions?
Well, Georgia's had running back injuries. They've had offensive line injuries. Their receivers have dropped a lot of passes.
Yeah.
I think he was pressing a lot this season to make plays, throwing the ball into tight windows over the middle. I think you have seen him kind of just throw a ball away more often, maybe go to a check down. So I think that's helping him out and Georgia's offense out. I mean, he said the other day, you have 3 downs to get a first down. You don't need to get it on first down all the time. So I think he's being smarter and, realizing with all those picks that he had earlier in the season that's just, can be very destructive.
So, Mark, your level of, so I guess it's kind of twofold. Were you surprised to see that Texas is favored? And as objective as you could be, if you didn't know, and this game was played, quote unquote, on a neutral site, who would you have made the favorite?
I mean, I guess I wasn't surprised. I mean, they're higher ranked, right? And they've, I guess they just went to Texas A&M and won, and one loss is.
They were beaten pretty good though by Georgia, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, they got their butts kicked. I ended up picking Texas to win this thing 27-24. I've just seen Georgia live a little bit too dangerously lately, and I think if Georgia knew that if they lost they'd be out of the playoff, I think there'd be even more desperation, more sense of urgency. I might have gone the other way in picking it, but I just sometimes I feel like they live a little bit too. Like how many times can they keep coming back and keep pulling out games, or just give up? They've given up 200 plus yards the last 2 games to Georgia Tech and to UMass. It's not going to surprise me to see Arch Manning play more for Texas because he can run the ball well, like the last 2 quarterbacks against Georgia have, and I think that might be kind of an advantage that Texas can have. And they have a workhorse running back that's run for over 200 yards himself the last couple of games.
Mark, you mentioned kind of you think Texas is going to win this one. You sort of talked about the path forward for Texas. If Georgia's able to pull it out, what does their path to victory look like?
I think Carson's going to be, very good with the ball and, maybe just 1 pick at the most. I think Nate Frazier and then Trevor Etienne, Trevor Etienne. If he's back from his rib injury and Georgia can run the ball, Georgia didn't have, they had less than 300 yards of offense the first time around. They took advantage of short fields, 7 sacks from the defense, and forcing turnovers. So, Georgia's got to win the turnover battle. And I think, Georgia has difference makers at both punter and at kicker. I mean, they can win the field position battle, by pinning down Texas in their side of the field. So those are some of the things. And then they can't give up the explosives in the passing game, which Georgia's had the tendency to do this season. So those are some of the things on Georgia's side.
Mark, who are you more surprised about? The fact that Alabama is currently in the top 12 or Tennessee is highly thought of as they are, in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, Tennessee is like, other teams, I guess, that, this committee seems to be really zoned in on wins and losses. I don't know what Tennessee's best win is. I don't have their schedule in front of me, but they came to Georgia and Georgia, handled them. So, Tennessee's in a spot. They went to Vanderbilt. They got their 10th win, so they're safe. Alabama, they still have the brand name, and they're going to get the benefit of the doubt over Ole Miss or South Carolina. They do have quality wins, but they also have that really bad loss at Oklahoma. So, I'm not sure if Ole Miss was in Alabama's situation, whether they would get that benefit of the doubt.
Mark, what did you think about the, obviously you mentioned some of the teams there, but just the overall quality of the SEC this year? Obviously teams took more losses than we're used to, but how much of that had to do just with the expanded conference and how much was maybe the top came back to the pack a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, you have Vanderbilt kind of, which was chalked up as a W in everyone's schedule, looked like a different program. And, that changed things. I mean, nobody thought they were going to beat Alabama. You had South Carolina rise up from the dead, and what do they have, like 6 straight wins now? And but they have some bad losses or just too many losses early in the season with 3 of them. There's no superpower. I mean, Georgia and Texas are very good teams, but I think nobody's going to put them all the way through the bracket and crown them as champions. So, there is parity. You have Auburn, came out and beat Texas A&M, and they hadn't been able to win games. So, there's no really horrible teams, but there's no teams like there were when Georgia won back-to-back national championships.
That's Marc Weiszer covering Georgia for the Athens Banner-Herald. Marc, we appreciate your time and enjoy the game this weekend.
Thanks, Marc.
All right, good to be with you guys.
Appreciate that. That's Marc Weiszer from the from the Athens Banner-Herald covering Georgia there. Yeah, the SEC is super weird to me this year because I do think, like, South Carolina in my mind is probably more deserving than Bama, and they're not going to get in. Like, I have a hard time putting Bama in. I really do.
No, me too.
I'm not saying South Carolina should be in, but if you're picking a 4th SEC team,
I do have a question though.
What's that?
Like, how is Miami just out?
Fair question. I would probably pick Miami over.
Do I need to do some more digging? I feel like I've looked at this thing. My eyes
tell me Miami's better than the 4th SEC team.
Me too.
I agree.
I don't think Miami would beat Alabama, but
no.
So
I don't know.
That's my answer.
I don't know. I think they have a better resume than the 4th SEC team. Is that fair?
Yeah. I think it's the eye test.
I think it's also the SEC. We'll talk with Mike Sautter coming up next. Kicking off hour number 3 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, KFOR in Lincoln. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. Mike Sautter joining us as well from Hurrdat Sports and NAV Preps.
Okay, myself.
You're right there, bud?
Just
should not drink that.
I won't touch that.
I'm going to drink it later. This one's still full.
It's warm.
Well, yeah, there's ice in here.
That's gross.
There's ice in here. Put the Diet Coke in the ice, then it gets cold. That's how ice works.
Mm.
See?
Was that one of those moments?
Just toe the line.
Jump right over. Mike, how are you this morning?
Doing all right, I guess. A lot going on right now.
Yeah?
A lot of basketball right now.
A lot of basketball.
Finish up football, move right into basketball.
It's pretty good. Hey, what are you expecting to see from the fill in the blank teams
whatever
this weekend?
Team super states and Nebraskas and whatever teams?
Yep.
Geez. I don't know. It's going to be tough.
It is going to be tough.
Up front.
Especially at wide receiver.
Well, wide receivers Joe Kaliga better be one.
Right.
Yeah. Like that's one. That's a lock.
So you got to assume Kaliga and Lofton.
Those are the 2. And then what do you do with
it's a dogfight from there on out.
Yeah.
Probably.
There's a lot. Cotton.
Can you play with positions at all?
Probably not at receiver.
Fudge it a little bit.
So you have Cotton, Tamala, Pamran is a name. I'm just off the top of my head, the guys that should be in contingent a little bit.
Well, Tamala's easy. That's the quarterback.
I'm talking Lofton. Sorry, yeah. Lofton, Cotton. So Kaliga gets 1. It depends on if you go 3 or 4 of them and don't have a tight end.
Well, that's going to be some mad folks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just is.
What do you do with Amarion Jackson?
So, and the sad thing is if he's not on, he's
one of the best players.
Well, could have been in the discussion because there's only been 6 3-time All-Nebraska players.
Yeah.
6, 3-time.
Can you fudge it and put him on defense? Was he good enough defensively to warrant that?
You could, but I don't know.
I mean,
I'm Eli Johnson's
trying to work around ideas here.
There's a ton.
Yeah.
There's a ton. I am glad to kind of see Kaliga get his due.
Get his flowers.
He deserves it.
Yeah.
Man.
He was
20 freaking touchdown catches.
It's not just that. It's
and defense. He's a 3-way player.
It's just how he just doesn't come off the field.
Right. He comes off for kickoffs, I think, and that's it.
But he's one of those guys that, you saw it.
Or punts, one of those.
Especially in the state championship game where, you see a lot of really good players. It's they make a couple plays here, a couple plays there. Like Kaliga was just
Do you know how many times
dominating
I
that
would
game.
rewind a huddle play?
Just dominating that
A
game.
lot.
Unbelievable.
His acceleration, his playing a ball in the
His
air,
body control.
That's his best.
Yeah,
that's
his body control.
That's his best asset,
So
in
good.
my opinion.
The also the fact of the matter is that he was like a guy before this year, but wasn't like, oh man, this guy is coming. He just kept working, man. Just kept working and showed up.
There's
Like,
been some impressive performances in the state finals. Will Lordson's be the best in a loss?
that is one.
I went back in my I've been doing it since 03.
Right.
In a loss, that may be the best performance I've seen.
What he did, I will remember that forever, long time. Even though they lost, I'll remember that. I'll remember what Baylor Shireman did.
They won.
Yeah, but they won, and then I'll remember the Gretna West Side games for a long time, like a really long time.
And a loss.
Yeah.
The question was,
I know. That's what I'm saying. I don't think
loss.
there is one. It's hard. I can't think of one.
Maybe Sean.
It was so.
Maybe Fisher,
Sean Fisher was really good that
the
year.
40-some carries against Central.
Yeah.
Because he was really good defensively, too. That wasn't a loss. That was 08 or 07.
07, I think. I think it was 07.
He was so good.
Yeah. 40 carries, like 200 yards.
I mean, it was just ISO and power.
They didn't have
ISO
anything
and
else.
What about North? Did North have any?
I don't think we had any great performances in a loss.
Calvin was good, but they won.
We won. You know, when Bellevue West blew us out.
Yeah.
That was nobody really.
There
played
wasn't
well.
in a loss. There isn't a lot. Well,
you could maybe say like.
Shoot, go to Barrett Wilkie on Monday. Like he killed it too, but
How
they
about
lost.
More unassuming, good player than Wilkie.
He's just like the nicest.
You just see him and you're like,
yeah, no way.
Such a nice young man.
Yeah,
and I'm sure he is.
Yeah,
but then you watch him play football and he's just violent.
Yeah, that Sandy Creek team was good though.
Yeah, yeah. So
he'll be good in hoops too.
Shaw's pretty good.
Yeah. Look back to the original. No, I don't. Without just off the top of my head and without looking it up, what Lordson did for Bennington was phenomenal. Like, and he was gassed. Like at the end,
it's so hilarious. It's just elite level fitness.
Man, like
just elite level fitness.
This is a special dude.
There's a lot of toughness in that game. Van Dyke was getting his brains beaten.
They were both just crushing each other. In that
Dude,
game.
I'm Team Jansen too.
Yeah, Jack Jansen is a stud. He wrecked them last year in the final, and then he wrecked them again this year. But they just threw it back.
I'm kind of a sicko. So you know my favorite thing about him? He never looks tired.
No. Yeah.
He never looks. It's like, okay, next.
He's really good.
Next.
Vrzal's the person at the beginning of the year last year. When I told him I was going to their practice, Vrzal's the one that was like, "Hey, look at this kid."
Yep, he's been all in on him for a while.
And Jack Jansen deserves to be, Class B all first. I mean, that's like a given, right? I think
it's gonna.
So what do you do with Lordson though? Like if you're talking all state teams, like he's first team, like all class, right? But who else do you put him at linebacker? Right? You have to. Lordson.
Oh, yeah. He really only played running back for 4 games.
For 2.5, actually. Yeah.
They sprinkled him in with a little. And I didn't go back far enough. But from what I asked people in the community, I didn't have to go back very far on huddle.
No,
because it was fairly recent.
It was. I saw him when they first. I mean, I was at their McCook game because it was
that Maryland Eye was their version of the tush push.
Yeah,
you knew where it was going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I thought one of the plays of the game, because they weren't very good in the red zone, was that 4th down where Scott got the stop.
Yes,
the momentum kind of was just like stymied when because it was like 4th and whatever.
Mm-hmm. And Van Dyke, that 2-point where people watch the replay, they're like, oh no, but I mean they still got. If it was a fumble, Scott still recovered in the end zone. But that was incredible. Like he just laid his body on the line, just dove over people, got crushed.
It's a tough family. I know a guy. Actually, it's Gunther's dad.
Yeah.
We played softball.
Those two
together.
linebackers were really. We talked about them early.
So they used to coach. He used to coach the Van Dykes, and he's like, if those, even when they were little, he would tell me like, if those guys ever reel it in, they're gonna be really good.
They were, and they both are basketball on their basketball team. I mean, they were. How about this? I'm just gonna transition, I guess, into basketball. But Scott went to, or they played Tuesday night, and then Saturday was their jamboree. Thursday was Thanksgiving.
Yeah, beat a good team.
Yeah, Thursday was Thanksgiving. So they basically practiced basketball one day on Friday after Thanksgiving.
Yep.
And then they come out and play a jamboree against Millard North, which is a good team.
Yep.
And they beat them.
Yep.
And like 2/3 of their team is football guys that practice one time. And Dylan Van Dyke played in that scrimmage. I'm like, dude, you got to be hurting still, man. Like, come on.
Speaking of hoops, more to say about the Monarchs or Prep that they got that thing to
I think the Monarchs are pretty good, like going to be pretty good. They got size. Vignes is in there.
I like Coach Pope too.
Yeah, he's a good dude. Scott,
you know what I mean? Like he seems like a good egg.
Yeah, Coach is hard. He's from that Scott tree. Also, was it Shadron State? When I first met him, he was a GA at Shadron State.
Because ultimately, I think Prep's going to be pretty good.
I think they'll be all right down the stretch. They got to find some outside shooting, a little more consistently.
Which is, he's had to deal with that the last handful of years.
Yeah, but Trinnell should be the most dominant big, I guess, because there isn't a lot of bigs.
Pretty
right?
skilled,
unless you move. What do you call Derek Rollins? Is he a big or is he a wing?
I call him really, really good.
Derek Rollins is very good.
Mm-hmm.
Robbie Garcia's in that. Like, is he a big? Is he a whatever? Like, those two guys are going to have to be a lot of the scoring punch, especially Robbie Garcia for Bellevue West basketball this year.
Can you imagine a little bit of his nasty assertiveness in Rollins?
Yeah,
because Rollins, he's kind of a chill guy.
Yeah.
It's like whenever I get ready. But he's way good.
His 3-point shot has improved. Like, you have to guard him.
Yeah.
Like, so, and he's big enough to use his body to kind of create some space and get around you. He's not quick enough.
He can bully you a little bit.
How about Simons this year actually playing with length?
Hey, Westside looks like a small college team getting off the bus. Finally.
Yeah, they're long.
Yeah. Like, they're long and athletic. For me, and I've said this to numerous people, for me, in Class A basketball to start the year, I would start Millard North at 1 just because they return some, Derek and other guys that have a bunch of experience in playing in big games. And then I would put Westside at 2. And then it's Papio South, Kearney, Prep, whatever combination is how I would have started the year if I was doing it. I like Westside's team. It's just a matter of, can they make enough outside shots? Because people could pack it in on them. Lee is obviously phenomenal. I think he's going to have a gigantic high school career.
Long as he stays dialed.
Right. Like, he needs to be just kind of locked in. There's some maturity stuff still there, but, I mean, he's a freshman. So you deal with that. But Oddvity's been really good, playing off 2 feet.
I like him.
Working hard.
I've always liked him.
Tyson, yeah.
There were times I would tell him last year, I'm like, when you figure out how good you really are, you're going to be pretty dangerous. And he'd just laugh because he's really good natured. And after every game, I call him little Big T.O.
Yeah.
Because he's bigger than Tate, but he's younger than Tate.
He's taller.
So I'd always call him little Big T.O. And he's a great teammate. He's a really good kid.
Yeah.
Like he's a joy.
Works hard. He's a guy I remember telling.
He was unselfish when he could have probably
been like
acted a little different last year.
More. Yeah, Westside. It just looks weird because Westside had all those guys for like 3 years in a row, 4 years.
Now
it looks so different. Like, those guys are gone. Who's next?
This is the most different team he's had.
Yeah, like
because he went from there is no Booth, there's no Benning, no Mitchell, no.
There's
Stokes.
like one
there's
star.
No PJ.
Yeah,
like Carl. Just aren't those guys.
Yeah, now he has like
Chandler.
a collection of guys. Carson Healy might be there. kind of key guy just because he plays hard.
He makes the all
hair team. Yeah. He's a pain. He gets in people's stuff and all that. But
early candidate for Class A's Player of the Year would probably be Ball.
Oh yeah, Bryson. Yeah. I mean, well, he had 32 at halftime, and the team he played against had 33 at halftime.
His green light, his
28. 28 and 27.
His green light is fluorescent.
Yeah.
It's not even just green. It's like
he's a little more athletic and bouncy and.
Oh, you like that? Shoot it.
He's a little more athletic and bouncy and all that stuff. That win last night was pretty impressive. That's a team, Western Christian. It's kind of like playing, I guess, against a C1 team. But after 3 quarters, Bryson Ball had 32 and Western Christian had 33. Like, that's pretty good. And then he obviously didn't keep that up because he didn't play all the 4th quarter. But he's going to be good. Like, he's going to be really, really good. This is my opinion. I've said this publicly, I think, multiple times. Bryson Ball is the best college prospect in the senior class in Nebraska.
He's
committed to South Dakota State.
Mm-hmm.
So
I know that makes you happy, Ravi.
Oh, I think South Dakota State, North Dakota State, South Dakota, they all do a really good job of recruiting Nebraska. It would be incredible if there were a team. I just wish there was a team locally that was in a similar level of basketball that could have a place closer for the. Oh, wait a second.
I didn't say it.
University of Nebraska Omaha actually plays in the Summit League. That's weird.
Another reason why he and T-Mose get along.
Can I duck out of?
I mean, hey, you can put my name on it. That's fine.
No,
I've said it. I just, how long can you get your butt kicked by kids from your own state and be okay with it?
You see Jaden go for 19 the other night?
Yeah, wonder.
Shot the pee out of him.
I mean, shoot.
He looked Jaden Jackson looked the exact same pulling up on the wing at SDSU as he did at the Thunderdome.
His entire life.
Hey,
I was like, I've seen that a time or 10,000.
You know,
I love me some Jaden Jackson.
Funniest thing in the world is like Nebraska is sort of just this like hotbed of Summit League talent. And the team in Nebraska that plays in the Summit League gets none of them.
Hey, were you surprised to see Chucky just give? I wouldn't say give. How
over Thanksgiving? Yeah.
With DeVries.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
I mean, he picked him 2-3 times clean, and I mean, DeVries was in foul trouble, but Chucky's
a really good defender.
He's an elite level defender. His post game interview, I'm a big interview guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, a big Chucky guy.
So Doris had him, and she's like, "Hey, because he had the monster game."
Yeah.
And my man said, "I am a bucket getter. I believe I'm one of the best point guards in the country.
Yes.
I put my offensive game to the side for too long." I was like, "Oh, who's the new guy?"
Yeah.
I am a bucket getter.
He got buckets in high school, and then Wisconsin just wanted him to run the show.
And now I watch. Ravi knows my favorite is now playing at Kansas, and I used to always say, how many years did I say his shot selection? He's going to shoot Wisconsin out of the game, and now he can maybe shoot KU out of it.
Is it weird?
Although KU's pretty good.
Love AJ Storr.
We talked about this Creighton, right, the other night. AJ Storr. So it's a weird. There's this weird circle of life in college basketball. So I get home from on Tuesday night. I get home and I'm watching UCLA and Washington because I want to watch William Kyle and I want to, it's Big Ten and they're playing Nebraska and I have to, know what I'm talking about. And I'm like, oh, Will Breidenbach is still at Washington. Interesting. And then I'm like, yeah, Breidenbach's the guy that pushed Braxton Mia out at Washington. And now Braxton Mia is at Nebraska.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then the next night, I'm watching Kansas and Creighton. And I'm like, oh, AJ Storr. AJ Storr's the guy that pushed Connor Season out. Connor Season's now at Nebraska.
He has the potential to be a better. I'm gonna let this ride. If he shoots it well, he has the potential to be a more efficient.
JC.
Yes, Tominaga.
Yeah, they're different though.
I know.
Yeah.
So I have.
It
needs context.
Yeah,
but
people are trying to compare them to him like they're totally different.
It's
players.
not their games.
Yeah,
the productivity.
It's the productivity.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah,
because he won't. Well, he also won't take as many. Casey
ill-advised.
Yeah, Casey took some wild stuff. Now some of it went in, and that's why he had the green light.
So but do you know what's interesting about Nebraska though? Why we're on it?
What's that?
They're obviously going to be a really, 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 really good defensive team, and they still might be able to be an efficient offensive team
Nebraska,
as well.
yeah. I think
like they may not have. This may be the first time in a while that they don't have to sacrifice being a really good defensive team for their offense.
I think they're probably pretty good.
I said
Like
this.
tomorrow
I want to say that, but I need a couple more.
Yeah, like tomorrow might not go their way because it's at Michigan State. It's 11 a.m. All those things, but like it wouldn't shock
Which
me.
Aiken do you think they'll get?
What?
Do you ever know? Do you ever know?
Isn't he something?
Michigan State is like
Something.
super deep though.
Watch Frankie go off.
He's been relegated. For the last couple games.
So it's it's shooting the basketball.
Yeah. Same thing he did in Omaha.
Just
right?
not.
Yeah.
He's just
efficiency numbers aren't there.
Just got to be more efficient, or you can't really.
Well, that's the thing you
win.
can get away with at Omaha that you can't really get away with at Michigan State. Like you're gonna have more leeway.
Because defensively, he's bigger now.
Yeah.
He's
like
a little bigger.
Yeah, my thing with him Frankie going to that other level next, leveling up is like what position? He's a 4, right? Because you can't the wing, and then it's like can you guard? That was the thing. Was defensively what was he going to be?
Can you guard a 3?
Yeah,
in the Big Ten. Yeah, I don't know. That was always going to be the issue with.
But I do think Nebraska's probably pretty good.
I do too.
Like they probably are. They have 2 solid point guards. They don't have a season has gone off the last couple games, but really they don't need someone to score 23 points. They can get dudes that just everybody, a handful of guys score 8 to 12 and be fine and win games that way. So I think they're probably pretty good, and defensively they're good. Yeah. They're really good. And Mia does what he's supposed to do defensively. We don't need you to take jump shots. We don't need you to do much else.
I want you to. You don't have to say it now, but maybe off air you can say, you know what, DB, I know I gave you a hard time about Mia. I didn't really understand what you were saying at the time. It's okay. It's okay if you say that.
I'm still not 100% sold.
Okay, Ravi.
Pivot.
It's
pivot,
okay.
Pivot.
I'm not 100%.
Just be like, dang, DB, you were probably right.
In spurts, it's probably all right.
You can play him in spurts.
Pivot.
I mean, you were.
Barricade needs to get healthy because he's going to end up being there.
I would love to see him fit.
Yeah.
Able to train and
yeah.
Because Barricade, he's got some tools.
Yeah, he is. He just is
he's
out of
got
shape.
Some tools.
Yeah.
I watched him against Creighton. I was like, oh my gosh!
No, he's got some
might be the best 4 on the floor.
He plays real
right, and
he plays
Creighton
with an edge.
is going to eventually have some stud 4s.
Yeah, I think right now he might have been the best 4.
That game he was.
Yeah.
He was
I think
incredible.
McAndrew's upside's higher.
Yeah.
But he's not that right now.
Were you surprised he didn't play in key minutes?
No.
I thought that was a really great, and I'm biased because I love Mac, but that's a great button push because Green didn't play all game.
Yeah.
And then late. And then, hey, we need you.
And then he needs
defense.
stops.
Yeah.
And
Jason was
being
ready.
Who he is, he was that dude.
Isaac though, defensively, there was a couple of early possessions.
He looks like
a couple early possessions weren't great, but defensively he was pretty good.
Yeah.
He got pretty good.
His body looks fantastic.
It was a unique game for Isaac because you had more of a traditional 4, which allows him to play defensively and hold up better than he does against these more slasher type 4s that you see a lot that are basically just big 3s. I thought that was set. I'll be honest, I don't love the Trout-Miller lineup in general, both of them playing at the same time, but it was obviously...
Hey, were you pulling your hair out when Mason turned it over early?
Yeah.
You're like, see? And then he's like, don't worry, Ravi, I got you.
I was like,
I'm going to knock down a couple 3s, and I want you and Kim.
He made 2 threes.
You guys leave me alone because she's my biggest fan.
He made 2 threes, dog.
He did. He made 2 threes, but they were big. They were both big 3s, and they played well together in that stretch, which
Yes, he could. You wouldn't score. You guys would play to 10. Mason would beat you 10-0.
You know what I'm saying? It's
no,
a figure
I don't.
Of speech.
No, knock it off. He would lock you up. He helps and all. Same as he do me or him.
Yeah,
I'm not going by that, dude. And if I do, he's blocking it. It's no problem.
No, my only chance is if he just
dribble.
Decided not to guard me.
I would almost.
This dude looked at me like he was Curry.
Oh,
you chef Jerome Curry now?
I almost thought it was after 10 and only streamed the F almost.
No. We don't need that.
By the way, did you like the injured star theory last night in the NBA? No Draymond, no Curry, no problem.
Got Kuminga, baby. Still not sold. Still not sold.
You better pay that guy. Somebody will.
I don't
Hey, a
want
lot
to.
of high school basketball coming up this week.
I know.
though.
I'm pretty excited. I
The
don't
OPS jamboree
I don't
stuff.
have anything to do.
Papio South Norris tomorrow.
I'm gonna loiter.
3:45.
You do enjoy loitering
Yes, I do.
in a
I can
corner
just-
somewhere.
Yep. No vested interest. Although I'm gonna check out Westside first, always.
Of course. We will be
'Cause
back.
Eventually, I may have another guy playing.
More Hurrdat. Maybe.
Ding
We will
dong.
be back. More Hurrdat Sports Radio coming up next. We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, KFOR in Lincoln. That's DB. I'm Ravi, Lulla, and we're brought to you by our friends over at Game Day Men's Health. Me and DB have been going over there for a couple of months now and have been feeling great. You can too. Make sure you go check out. They've got more than just testosterone replacement. They got peptides. They've got weight loss. They can help you out with your vitamin deficiencies, which I need because I don't eat any vegetables, and I know DB doesn't either. Got to help that guy out.
See?
And
Hey, man, help yourself.
I'm trying, and it's a super cool crew over there. Make sure you go set up an appointment. Game Day Men's Health. It's the Southwest Omaha location. It's GameDayMen'sHealth.com. It is now time for Bet On It, brought to you by Warhorse Sportsbook. Warhorse Sportsbook, no best, no glory. DB, you've been on a heater,
Yes.
but I'm not gonna. I'm gonna pick the games this time.
Okay.
So you don't have to give me any locks. I don't want to put your record on the line here.
Okay.
But I would like
What
to.
do you like? What are we thinking?
I want to go through some of our conference championship games we got coming up here.
Oh, lordy. Look who's 40.
I know we talked a little bit about the conference
Stop looking at
championship
me.
or with the Georgia SEC game right there, but we start off tonight. UNLV +4 Boise State. How are you feeling? And this is a weird one. This and the next one are a weird one because they're home games.
Yeah. I kind of like UNLV.
UNLV?
Yeah.
Plus the 4? You like the plus money?
Yeah. Give me the 4.
You think they're going to be able to hang on to Jonty?
Yeah. Yeah, I like UNLV.
UNLV's played really good this year. Barry Odom probably going to be in line for a big
Another
job. Yeah.
Yeah, somebody's going to hire
Purdue, North Carolina.
They certainly should.
Oh, Belichick's going to
Bill
Carolina.
Belichick's going to
Man, get
Carolina.
out of here.
We watch.
That ain't happening.
So here's the deal.
That ain't happening.
You think Belichick's going to interview and have it be known and not get the job?
You think he actually, quote, interviewed, or he's just doing somebody a solid by
I
throwing
don't
his
know.
name
Maybe.
out there?
Maybe.
What is the solid for North Carolina if Bill Belichick interviews?
I think because
Like, what does that help?
I think because their board of regents chastised their AD for how he handled Mac Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I think it's probably.
No, seriously, I think he got the proverbial wrist slap, which
makes sense. It was messy.
yeah,
But Mac
and-
put him in a bad spot, too.
Belichick was.
Have you not watched their basketball team?
Yeah, I have.
Slap his wrist too.
Not a big not a big Hubie guy.
I already told you.
I know we're on bet on, but did you see that guy with the Carolina Bama shirt, split T-shirt the other night?
Yeah,
That's wild.
I was sick of seeing him get TV time.
To this day.
That
was
might
crazy.
so the multi-view is fantastic.
It is fantastic.
That might have been as good a multi-view as you could get. Because you had, who was it? So you had Bama, Carolina.
Oh,
Who was in the top?
Kansas Creighton probably was in.
Nope, because they weren't in the family.
Oh yeah, it's Fox. Yeah.
But the 4 games were all good in the multi-view. It was incredible.
Yeah.
I was like-
Usually don't get all 4.
And so, and maybe I know we're gonna get to bet on it, I promise. But while I got you guys, because you're smarter than me in this area, remember how you used to change the multi-view by game?
Mhm.
Can you not do that anymore? Like you could swap a game out and put one in.
You can go in
This
there.
was back when it was warm, so it was
Yeah.
probably in.
You can go in
August or
and change, but they have to be like.
Yeah.
It's not like what you have
you
done.
used to be able to add one, remove one. I don't.
Yes.
And you can go to change multi-view. I don't think you can do that anymore. I
You
think you
can't.
just get all
On
the other
YouTube TV,
options on
yeah.
on the other one.
Yeah, I'm not
Once
sure.
you got to click 17 buttons to get to the change multi-view.
Yeah.
Don't believe me, I'll go through all 17.
It's a pain.
Seeing his attention span, it like
Roll
suits me.
down. And then it says you can do your own, and then it's like, wait, you can't do your own because if it's ESPN and Fox won't, you can't put it on the same thing.
You can blank slate it, and do multiple sports. So you can have a football, a
which is nice. Yeah, that's super nice.
I'll be doing it with wrestling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
a big.
Which, by the way, you see Antrell. He's ranked 1 at 57.
Antrell
at the King
is going. That's tough. There's like 17 wrestlers.
Hey, do you remember when people wanted him to play football?
He's a really good wrestler. They were dumb if they thought he was going to play football.
I'm like, you ever seen that guy wrestle?
He's a star.
He's ranked 1 at 57 for the Cliff King.
Yeah, it is so awesome to see him.
You ever seen Tyson Terry wrestle?
Yeah, I'm bummed. My man Pinto is only a 3 seed. Big Lenny Pinto guy.
Obviously.
No, you're exactly right.
Caleb, Smith's a 2 seed, right?
Yeah.
Caleb Smith.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it gets a little sketch from about 174 on down. Like McDaniel. There's some guys going that.
Nebraska's going to have a good year.
They got to get healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're good at the top.
Speaking of Lordson, you could just throw
No, Smith may be 1. Who's 1 at 125? He may be 1.
He's 1.
He might be 1.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm sorry.
Is that on
Ravi.
Flow, by the way?
I canceled them.
Oh. What's it on?
They're not a sponsor. You can say you canceled them. It's all right.
Yeah.
What's it on? What's it on? Oh, it's Cody. Cody will know.
You know what I appreciate about Robbie Anderson more than anything?
Is the fact that he knows everything?
He does, and he's really good at his job. But last year when Creighton's exemption tournament it might have been 2 years ago, when Creighton's exemption tournament was on Flow, he not only told Creighton fans how to subscribe, he also told them how to cancel.
Yeah. So here's the thing. He did that with baseball too.
Incredible. That's why Robbie Anderson's the GOAT. He thinks everything.
He's really good.
And he thinks like a normal
person.
Yeah, like how we would think.
Yeah, he's like, okay, I'm okay paying however
I know this is just for this
just for Creighton.
thing. Yeah.
And is like, hey, I'm okay spending the however many dollars.
Where was he when I needed like Baller TV and those other extortion artists?
That's so
watching basketball, high school basketball.
I paid $50 to watch one AAU game when I was in Kansas City and somebody else was in a different city. I paid $50 to watch one AAU basketball game.
They hit me with a reoccurring fee that they still are listening to me yell about.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on to some of the other. Thanks for derailing that, Sautter. Appreciate it.
He said, hey, I know this is the bet on segment.
He obviously doesn't care.
Talk about this other stuff.
Tulane -5 against Army.
Why?
I don't know. Tulane got smacked.
I just love Jeff Monken. I don't have a good reason. I'm going to pick Army.
Tulane got smacked last week. Or that's the only reason why I say that.
I'm just picking Army out of my heart. That's all.
I have no reason other than
we're honking for
Tulane's
Monken.
probably going to win, but man, I don't know.
We're honking for Monken always.
That line I think has grown a little.
Yeah,
it
started
at. That's what Purdue should do. They should do somebody like that.
It's almost like somebody said that
just
earlier
get all
this week.
crazy.
Weird.
Oh, you did? Oh,
yes.
I'm sorry.
Appreciate you listening. Tulane -5. That was a -4 earlier
I don't
in
wake
the
up
week.
when the show starts.
You know, they have this incredible thing called podcasts and YouTube. You can watch the show whenever you want.
This dude's too busy listening to bad music.
It's incredible. No,
it's not bad. I take the. I shouldn't have said that. We actually have. No, it's not similar.
Kind of similar, maybe.
We like the same era.
Yes, that's fine. I'll do that.
But you do get a little squirrely within that era. I'm not listening to Rob Bass.
Rob Bass is good. Make things go right.
No, I'm not.
No. Man.
Tulane -5 Army.
Bass, the one who knows about
also a home game for Army at West Point.
It's at West Point. I'm taking Army.
This is a tough one. It really is.
It is a tough one, but I'm taking
that number has grown from 4 to 5 though.
Oh.
I like Army.
I like Army as well. We love honking for Monken. Iowa State +2 against Arizona State.
I don't think Arizona State should be favored.
Mm-hmm.
Where's that game at?
It's neutral. I think.
Yeah, it's Dr. Pepper. So is it
Dallas?
Dallas?
I think it's Dallas.
Iowa State.
Yeah.
Oh, that's tough. It's tough. What Arizona State has done from where they were. Holy crap.
That's a tough one. This is I don't know what to do with this one, honestly. It's down to 1.5 now, by the way.
Yeah, but it crossed the 0 because I think Iowa State opened as the fave.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, when it crosses the 0, I'm going to take the 1.5. Give me Iowa State.
I'm just doing it because I'm rooting for Matt Campbell. so people realize he's still a good football coach.
Iowa State athletics right now on the men's side. Holy
Hey, how good is that basketball
they're
team?
really good. I'll find out on Sunday when Omaha goes there next week.
I don't think you're going to find out that day.
Hey,
I'm gonna find out soon.
one thing you're going to appreciate, they can defend.
I love that.
They're always going to be able to defend.
Yeah.
Elite level.
We talked with Georgia earlier today. They're a 2.5-point dog to Texas.
I like Georgia.
I do too. I don't think Texas
the
should be
the
favored.
line though. So
I don't
I'm
think Texas
gonna
should be
break
favored.
my own.
Because you don't like the less than a key number.
No, I don't play the matchup. I just look at the line and try to beat the closing number. I can't unsee them whip Texas up front the way they did.
Yeah.
Like they whipped those guys up front.
And it wasn't even as close as the score.
So how is that all of a sudden going to be different?
I don't think it is.
But I'll come back to that during Vrzal's segment.
It's hard to change the trenches.
I'll give you my super lock.
Give you super lock real quick. Penn State is a 3.5-point dog against Oregon.
I like Penn State.
You like Penn State. And Clemson, 2.5-point dog against SMU.
SMU.
That's Bet On It, brought to you by Warhorse Sportsbook. Warhorse Sportsbook, no bets, no glory. Go to warhorsecasino.com. Wrapping up the show here on a Friday on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, KFOR, and Lincoln. We are joined now by the one and only Matt Vrzal. Verz, how are you this morning?
Good, boys. How are you?
Hi, Matt.
Hi, Damon. Hey, give Mikey a round of applause for the event the other night. That was a good time.
That was fun. That was enjoyable.
Some people were too cool to make it, but
yeah,
Damon decided not to show up. Everyone else that was important was the high school football was here.
I didn't realize after 45 minutes. So after I got done with my other job, I was zipping to get here, and lo and behold, it was 7:55 and people were leaving. So I was like, "What is going on?" Oh, darn near.
By 7:55, it had been over for about 20 minutes.
No,
it was efficient.
It was very efficient.
Yeah,
it was like 1 hour on the dot.
I called Matt to see if he was still there. I said, "I'm getting off on the Harrison Street exit. It's right by my house." And he's like, "Oh no, dog. No, dog. We've been long gone.
No, dog. We're out."
I was like, "Wait a minute. It's 8:30. How have you been long gone?"
Efficiency.
Efficient. The baby was moving.
Did you see Verz's coat that he was wearing?
No, what were you rocking, big dog?
Him and I have a picture.
It was like this. It was like green velvet.
Green velvet.
You guys are practically the same person now. As felt as Vrzal is.
It was looking good.
I'm 240, man.
What's that?
I'm 240.
Oh, me and him the same.
Oh yeah.
You'd have to double Sautter to get to 240.
That's not true.
I just meant clean.
Mikey's a solid 105.
Airy faces.
No, I MC an event at Scott, their angel fight, and then I had a green velvet jacket that I wore to MC that thing, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll wear this tonight. See how it goes."
Probably what made you so popular with Bennington people, right?
I love the Bennington.
I know you do.
I got to sit by. Listen, I got to sit by two dudes that number one are awesome football players, and number two are just good.
So if it's Bennington, one of them was Jansen. Was the other one Lordson?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And man,
I'll give it to you. You've been on Jansen for a couple years.
Yeah. Yeah. Jackie's a good kid. And just, I mean, Lawrence and on the field, I don't know what he can't do. Like,
so
dude. He's just a dude.
Daughter. Yes. Now you've been in this a long time. Do you remember that good of a performance in a loss?
Zane maybe losing to Westside. Zane Flores losing in the loss to Westside.
Yeah, he was like 32 of 45 for 3 and some change.
Did have some picks though,
but he threw. No, I don't know about that.
No, that was
that's the most recent one.
A couple picks. Yeah,
it was.
I don't remember who got him a couple times, but
does one come to mind, Matt?
I don't watch it as tightly as you do, or Mikey.
He was awesome.
Oh, the ones that I played in, we mostly won. I'm just saying, like, maybe that's after you play in 200 state finals like you did when you were coaching. You didn't win them all, so maybe.
Harsh had a good one against us.
Bastion. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
That is a good one.
When they came out of formation with 11 dudes that were over 250 in Class B.
They just kept lining up.
It's like 11 guys. I'm like, you have 11 linemen out there right now. Like,
they just kept
happening.
Hey, that's a pretty good one.
QB power over and over.
Intricate motions, pulling. Nope. We're not giving it to anybody but him. Good luck.
Yeah.
He was a monster, dude. Just a big.
Remember that one line, the touchdown at the goal line with him was awesome. Like in that game, I remember it. I was standing in the back of it. It was to my left.
I was asking Larry real time
when TG got him or when Gordo got him at the goal line.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, that's my man. I was asking Larry, like, if there's an adjective, because you could see when Lordson ran, he just looked angry. Like if anger was a thing, like he was, and you could see it, that's what he was doing.
I mean,
even the cutback run that was the super long run where he cut it back, like that looked like an easy run. It wasn't. He found that backside crease, then he just hit the thing.
Thank God for the Van Dyke family and Joe Kaliga and the rest of the boys. But up front, Jackie was a struggle for us. Yes. And two, Lawrenson and Van Dyke, both. Well, I know Van Dyke for sure, but I was like, hey, Luke, this is the linebacker brother. I was like, hey, dude, how you feeling? He goes, still sore.
Yeah,
that's you're a week out. You're a week out from the game and still sore. So he was
giving as good as he. And I like the fact his brother didn't go to him till it mattered in crunch time, throwing the ball with those little intermediate routes. He hadn't caught a pass all game until
he likes to do that to him. He's open a lot. Like mom football, we have mom football on Monday nights, and we'll be watching, and I'm like, and I'll just look at the boss lady, and I'll be like, hey, can you tell the first one to throw it to the second one because he's wide open in the middle of the field, the vast majority of the game. But it is though, like you can tell that game has been played in their backyard thousands of times.
Long time,
and they did it. They
settled that whole drive down just catch with one another.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Which is when you default to it. I mean, it's second nature. They know where they are all the time.
One took a ton of shots. The other gave a ton of shots. Who's tougher, do you think?
Luke. Luke is tough. Like that Luke is. Dylan is savvy and Luke is tough.
Dude, he was getting the snot knocked out of him early in that game.
If you give me one person to go into an alley with, I'm taking Luke. If you give me two, I'm taking Vic and Luke. If you give me three, I'm taking Alex, Vic, and Luke. Like, I'll roll with the Van Dykes in any back alley altercation.
Dylan's just out.
Dylan's the reason why we're in the alley. He has run his mouth inside, and we're all outside, and he's still inside.
Oh, why could I see that being the thing? Hey, let me get to something real quick with the offensive line. I know we're talking about O-line and Nebraska, and you're looking at kind of who's moving on and what has to happen. Would Matt Vrzal get a veteran tackle in the portal?
You mean, would I be the kind of person that would go to various websites and look up guys available in the portal and watch their film and say, man, we could really use him? Like guys that maybe had played at Mississippi State or one that was at Auburn. Or there's one from Arkansas that I feel would be very good, look good in crimson. One from Virginia. There's another one at Illinois State. And then there's one that we won't get because he's already going to 5 other schools, but he's coming from Liberty. He's very good. So, no, I would, no.
Don't know anyone that would do that.
I wouldn't have spent 4 hours doing that. So, craziness. Direct messaging people saying, hey, you got any huddle film?
Wow.
Silly.
Who would do that?
I just love how he's going to.
Shane is still laughing.
I just love how he's going
Dude
to.
just went through like 7 dudes. Just like, nah, I wouldn't do that.
Just cold DMing people looking for huddle film. I love it.
Yep.
How'd you get out to Illinois State?
He popped in there, and what I did is I just kind of started at the top of the list. And the number one thing, like, this is going to sound bad, but I would look at the picture like, yeah, you can't play. And then I would go, and then the next phase of my evaluation was I would go and I'd click on your profile. And I would see how many, like, so it's got the full thing, like you enrolled here this year, portal, enroll here, portal, enroll. So 2 portals, you're out. Like you got commitment issues, so you're gone.
Oh boy.
And then I looked at age after that and tried to find some guys that were 3-year guys. A couple of those guys I listed are not 3-year guys, and then you just start clicking links, Google, and they got some of their film was high school film, but I need about 2 plays to figure out, feet and are you aggressive and those kind of things. So yeah, just watched them. And then you kind of start to dig further and like, okay, can I find a game that they played in on YouTube and that kind of stuff? And you just watch. Feet and hands. It will forever and eternity boil down to feet and hands. Mm-hmm. And when you find guys who got this dude at Mississippi State, has got sweet feet. They are good.
Swiping right and talking about feet. Wow.
I don't know what you do in your spare time, Mikey, but I ain't swiping right on nothing.
He's watching old linemen.
You keep your fetishes to yourself. I'll keep mine to myself.
All right, you got what's on the schedule for the rest of the day? But look at that wry grin he's got going on. Looks like he killed someone.
We had a 2-week break from lunch at Scott, but we're back on that. So
you had, or you're?
Yeah, the 1 week they didn't. Maybe it's only 1 week. I don't know. It all kinds of runs together. But we didn't have to do it, so I got to sleep in last Friday, and now this Friday I was back here bright and early. We did the changing of the guard in the plaza. The Avalardo's guys were leaving, and I was pulling in. Gave each other. See you, boys.
Incredible.
That's our guy, Matt Vrzal. Verz, we appreciate it as always. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Matty.
Coming over, DB.
Yep.
All right. See you in a bit.
That's Matt Vrzal, and that's the show for the week. We will be back on Monday. More Hurrdat Sports Radio.